Hello. Oh, shoot. Couldn't sleep. Me neither, man. Let's get the Twitch going. Just so I don't forget. But I might jump right into it tonight, just because I'm already like 2 hours behind. Follow my Twitch. Yeah, I'm sorry. Just 53rd birthday. Happy birthday, Christine. You got any plans? I'm gonna go to your favorite Mexican restaurant. Scary YouTube short now. Scared to sleep. It is funny. It seems like shorts and reels and all that kind of stuff tends to pop up right around the time that we're heading to bed, filling our head with all sorts of... Have I continued tunneling? Yeah, a little bit. Me and my friend went down a tunnel earlier related to like nanotech and the influences upon the human body and mass surveillance via biometrics and a two-way communication to influence those peoples who have the nanotech within them non-surgically, and how you can affect their mood and change their biometrics accordingly. And it was kind of like, I think my friend said, okay, I think I need to stop. Because it was like, it was a little bit of a dystopian future that we were getting into, and quite scary. It's crazy because the video was about a truck getting stuck in a mass crash in a tunnel and people were burned. Oh god, you could wait. Oh, it was like actual video. Yikes. What's up from Lansing, Michigan? What is good? But yeah, howdy ho, friends. Thanks for being here. We got some Reddit stories tonight. The good old Reddit. I'm thinking that we just get right to it. You know, we don't need 2 hours of me rambling too much. You know. We get in, we get it done, we get the job done. Fluent in Japanese, in Obama. I done the job, now we get paid. That was the deal. Did you guys ever play The Getaway back on the PS2? It came out like after Grand Theft Auto Vice City, I believe, or around that same time. And it was like a major leap forward, in my opinion, as far as like overall quality, because it was like an open world game, but it took place in the UK and had all these just like interesting touches that made it very realistic. One of them being like when it would tell you where to go and when you were traversing the map, it would give you a turn signal on your car to like let you know, like, turn here. And then it was just, I don't know, it was just, obviously it's not that big a deal nowadays, but back then, that, you know, it was such a big jump where it was like you were in this like very detailed open world, drive up to this like bank, and then you immediately went from the outside into like a rendered interior. You know, there was no loading, it was just like walked right in, you robbed the bank. They had really cool animations where you would shoot somebody, and if they were on stairs, they would like roll down the stairs and shit. And then if you were injured, you would take your character and just like go up to a wall and like lean against a wall. Girl veteran with the 2 years says Elon deleted his tweet about Canada not being a real country. What a punk. What a jerk. It's the realest country I know. Chandler, Arizona. Hell yeah. You know, some people are severely immature. I'm going to refer to that as their loading screen. Oh, don't mind him. He's just 80% loaded. That's true, yeah. What would be some examples of just like excess immaturity, would you say? They didn't even try to Americanize that game either. No, it was nice. It was... Yeah. Man, it's been a while. But I think they did a sequel to it, and it just didn't hit as hard. In your opinion, is college a waste of time? Yeah, I would say so, overall. Like, obviously, it's a great experience for young people to, like, socialize and get an idea of what it means to, like, get jobs done in a short period of time and learn copious amounts of material in a short period of time. You know, in that way, it's like high school times 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 or whatever. But the biggest waste of time about it is just how much it costs you, obviously. Taking out large loans, etc., etc. Girl veteran with the 2 says, stand by your BS, Elon. Yeah, you know, I don't know, man. Probably better to just guide our internal energy towards... Because honestly, if you think about it, the more energy you give towards these sort of political figures, obviously, you know, point out their shit, whatever, but in a weird way, whenever you give your time and energy and thought processes to these individuals, it's kind of like you worship them, you know? And I'm guilty of that a lot, you know, obviously, but it's like you start to realize that you're kind of just like, you're giving them your energy. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, but you're emitting it towards them. And in the same way that a demon feeds on your fear, or a god, you know, feeds on your praise, that's what's kind of happening with them when you could be putting that energy somewhere else. Dude, Pradeep is going nuts. He's been meowing as soon as I started. He like knows when I'm gonna start. He just... bleh. David Lee Hernandez, thank you for the 5. So can you do a UFO alien encounter video? Been seeing crazy stuff lately. Definitely need an updated one for sure. It's I do have a few in the past. I think my 200,000 subscriber special was all that and had a cool intro. But they become more powerful when we give them energy. I mean, yeah, in a weird way, yes. You know, I mean, and when you have that much money, what else do you want? You want attention. You want... I mean, that's clearly what like characters, like politicians, really desire. Is they just want some abstract sense of worship, you know. Pradeep wants to read. Actually, I think he has to shit because he's in there scratching about, and I think whenever he kind of gets like semi-constipated or something, he just like meows a bunch, thinking I'm gonna like, I don't know, what's he want me to do? Get in there and pull it out? Like, just fucking get the job done. Get in, get out. Saw a recent quote along the lines of, don't mind them, it's their first time being alive. Try to think about when homies make mistakes, including myself. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, if you can exude a certain degree of positive energy besides ruminating on the negative, I mean, because either way, whether you give positive or negative energy outwards of yourself, you know, it's hard to change that environment or hard to change the external stimuli anyways, so you might as well do the good one that lifts yourself up and is more constructive to yourself. David, thank you for the 2. They do feed on our emotions. Like recent stuff posts about Ukraine just kills me and brings total repression, but in the fact that it's just my reaction to something I can't change. Yeah, I mean, it's weird, honestly. Like, if anything, as soon as like people, you know, the people start to actually get a little bit over the target pertaining to like what they would like to see change, or if you bring attention to something in a negative light, all you really end up seeing is like laws change to like come down harder on people. Free speech, all that kind of stuff. Censorship, you can't talk about some topic, or you're, you know, they just come up with some pejorative to label you with, and it's bullshit. God ass. I was listening on one of your videos and you burped during it and kept reading. Brought me out of my nap and a good one. That's funny. Yeah, it was a good one. Am I still a nurse? I am not, no. Umbrella, thank you for the 150. Yeah, that was my TED Talk. YouTube seems slow. Is it being weird? Fix this grammar. Let's see. Damn, Pradeep must be struggling. He just keeps sprinting about. Do I do YouTube full time? I do, yeah. Sorry, I'm just fixing the grammar on this one because it's a little fucked up. But yeah, how have I been? Been good, honestly. Like, kind of unfortunate, you know, series of news from like people within my immediate vicinity. A lot of just like mortality, a lot of health issues for people that I know. That's just a lot of kind of sudden and abrupt death, you know, which is very odd. And it's one of those things that you can't really contemplate, you know. It's almost like you just cannot put yourself in somebody else's position unless you yourself have been through the same thing. Just want that dumb war to end. Don't care who wins. Tired of them culling hundreds, thousands of men for energy harvest. I mean, it is fucked. I mean, you would think at this point we wouldn't need to fight with... But I mean, it just looks so terrifying, like those videos of people in the trenches. I saw one video of like some arbitrary... I think he must have been a mercenary or something, a hired gun, but he was an Australian. And he's just in like the trenches, and then you hear the... Like, how terrifying is it? I think the worst part is that war's going on, and it's like literally kind of a more modern day, I guess, World War II style experience, World War I. I'm not even sure you want to call it. It's a weird modern war where there's trenches used, and then the drones, you hear the drones, and just that sound in and of itself would probably like send someone into like a PTSD catatonic state. And yeah, I mean, let's just get it fucking, let's figure out a peace deal. Like, Jesus Christ, why does it take... I don't know. It's weird to me. Weird to me that people aren't like, we're just like, kind of just like cheering on war. Like, why do people cheer on war? Like, do you ever wonder that to yourself? Like, I know a lot of us get caught up in like the tribalistic sense where we have to choose one side or another. But like, why cheer it on? It's like the side that you were cheering for is still going to like suffer and die, but so is the, you know, innocent individuals on the other side as well who just get conscripted to the process. It's like, just put yourself in that situation. It's fucking strange. Like, we're so capable as humans at completely demonizing and dehumanizing any sort of like opposition. But when you sit there and think about like what we consider opposition, most of the time it's just sort of like defined by our state-ran media. So if the state determines that someone is an enemy, have you ever wondered why your mind is so consistent to being comfortable with the demonization? You know what I mean? Like, why not see both sides of the perspective to some degree, or not have that capability? I don't know. Damn, Pradeep is all fucking gunked up because he is... Maybe whenever I stream he gets like heavy anxiety, he gets poop anxiety. I think we're taught that. Yeah, I mean, ever since we're young, it's like you learn about the Civil War, you learn about World War I, World War II, you learn about all these wars, and some people are so capable of like contextualizing a war to just like the goodies and the baddies, you know? It's so easy for them to sit there and ponder it, and just determine that every soldier on every side was just immediately deserving of their death, you know? Or the one was deserving and the other deserves a, you know, a grand honor with cool Medal of Honor fucking music played or some shit. But no, man, I mean, it was hell for every individual, and some, you know, fucking rich bastards way at the way top were just making this weird hierarchical decision to like send you to your death. And it doesn't matter what fucking philosophy you told yourself, you're still just fucking guts on the floor, you know, or a pink mist. You're a forgotten memory by the future generations. It's sad. But I guess at the end of the day, that's just the state of humanity. Dude, I can't even start recording. Pradeep's fucking going nutso butso, like massive shit in there. I guess. What is up with that? Like I don't think his diet changed. I don't know why he would be like more unable to shit or something. And then he comes out. I don't know. I need to figure out like a better way to like keep him hydrated, because like he has like the fountain that like continues to like flow, but he doesn't really drink from it like too often, which I'm sure plays into whatever's going on right now. Yeah, it is the kitty litter shuffle. Oh my god. What's up, Becky? Get his kidneys checked. Yeah, that is a fear. But I mean, like, obviously I would like to kickstart them as well in some fashion. I just wasn't sure if, like, I should be... I mean, obviously as his wet food, which he can get moisture from that as well, but it's like, do you sit there and, like, do, like, a spray bottle onto, you know what I mean, onto a plate or something, or onto his food? Subcutaneous water injections. Oh my gosh. That sounds tough. What's up, Polar Bear? What's up, Kyer? React to Peggy by Chichnya. What's that about? Is it a music? Haven't done much of a react in a while. Also, it's funny to like still see the Axeman cartoons animation, like, you know, the Sarah one. I heard it too, or whatever. Somebody else like redid the animation in like 3D animation, and then reposted on. Then somebody else took that and posted on Instagram, and then it had like 45,000 likes or something whenever somebody sent it to me. And I don't know, just it's cool that it gets all over, and it kind of has some sort of social significance of sorts. Put a bowl of fresh water every day with a fountain. They drink the bowl. Yeah, isn't that... yeah, I don't get it. Or anybody else's Instagram reels awful today. I don't know why that's just such a funny statement. Man, they were real bad today. I was looking at them for 8 hours. What the hell? Okay, something smells stinky. I think he had his way with it. They have lickable treats with high moisture content in them. Alright, we're gonna write this down. I'm gonna write all these down. Okay, I just picked up a pencil with no... it hasn't been sharpened yet. Perla Nara with welcome back for 17 months to just get your cat a water fountain. Yeah, that's what I was saying. He doesn't drink from it. It's weird. So yeah, just bowl and lickable treats. It just maintains the moisture in there. Want to hear some cringe before the next story? Absolutely, I love cringe. I usually had a cup of water on my desk. My cat loves to drink from it. Yeah, it's kind of funny. He, like, whenever I shower, he'll wait till after I shower and go into the shower and lick the water off the, you know, floor. Obviously, most of it's gone into the drain, but he seems to just, like, love puddles of water. Hey, Craft, thank you. Your cat likes the spray bottle I use on the plants and the see, that's what I was thinking. So, like, you're saying spray that onto some glass plate or something like that. Yeah, we all love a good puddle. Spray. I just don't want him to have kidney issues, and then it's just a pain in the dick, and then he dies, and life sucks, etc., etc. Okay. Give him wet food that should do it if caused by his diet. Yeah, I mean, he has that, you know, ready to rock and roll as well, so. Alright, let's get this first story going. We're just going to get right onto it. I got to record a little bit of background noise. Add water to the food. That's what I was thinking. Maybe like, I wonder if there's like a flavored moisture mix or something you can spray on it that makes them like really freaking love licking it. Yeah, today's stories are just generalized stories from Reddit. Oh yeah, and go follow me on Twitch if you haven't already. How many people over there right now? Let's check real quick before we go. Alright, we got August. August is popping off with 3 people over there. Thank you, friend. Heard about the new vaccine coming this year for cats with kidney problems. I heard something about that. Somebody mentioned about before. What's the deal with that? This happened a while ago, 2015-ish, but I'll probably never forget it. I was around 21 at the time. God damn it, dude. He is... I just gotta move my recording shit. Or maybe I gotta move... I don't know, I don't really have anywhere else to move his litter box, to be honest with you. Like, that spot in there is, like, the most out of the way, like, doesn't stink up the house, like, spot. Maybe I should just move my setup upstairs. Punch him. No, I don't want to hurt Kitty. He is a good guy. Yeah, I'm sorry. Get myself a little recording booth. I guess I could build... It's a pretty big fucking desk that I got going on here with a bunch of shit everywhere. Yeah, I'm a professional voice actor with my cat taking a shit in the background. This guy. I mean, honestly, YouTube is... That's the definition of fucking YouTube. Just like... take a shit in a can and post it online and everyone gets 1 million views. Ooh. Blanket fort, yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, maybe I'll just pretend like the swishing in the background is... Alright, anyways. I was around 21 at the time. I'm female and still fairly new to the city. I had just gotten out of a bad relationship, wasn't in the best place mentally, and didn't know many people in town besides my ex and his friends. I was on a dating/hookup app looking for people to hang out with casually, maybe find a friends with benefits or something. I matched with a 25-year-old guy named Simon. We talked sporadically in the app for a few days. He told me he was in a band and lived in a house with his bandmates. He sent me their music, just an audio track on YouTube with a heavily edited still image of 4 or 5 guys playing rock instruments. One of them looked like him. The music was an odd mix of styles and really not my thing, but whatever. Oh dude, I've already read this one. How the fuck did this get put in the document fucking twice, dude? What? That's so cringe. I'm fairly certain I read... Did this get put on my subreddit as well? Or no? Is this... Did I read this one already? It sounds fucking familiar. Date invited me to a fake barbecue, wouldn't let me leave. House had a... Wait, I swear I've read this. Don't be so hard on myself. I'm not really hard on myself. I just make noises, you know? Do you remember the Ghost website from 2007? I don't think I ever went to that one. But yeah, I need to be even harder on myself. I just swear that, like, the date thing... Maybe I'm dumb, maybe I don't. You sure about that? You sure that's the reason? I matched with a 25-year-old named Simon. Talks for just audio. Yeah, it was like just an audio track on YouTube with heavily edited still image of 4 or 5 guys playing rock instruments. One of them looked like him. The music was an odd mix of styles and not my thing, but whatever. He seemed like a nice enough guy. Stopped playing. You don't remember it? Why? Where do I remember this from? I swear that like specific line about like 4 or 5 guys playing rock instruments. I don't know. I matched with a 25-year-old guy named Simon. We talked sporadically in the app for a few days, and he told me he was in a band and lived in a house with his bandmates. He sent me their music, just an audio track on YouTube with a heavily edited still image of 4 or 5 guys playing rock instruments, and one of them looked like him. The music. The music was an odd mix of styles and not really my thing, but whatever. He seemed like a nice enough guy. After a few days, he stopped replying, and I figured that was that and moved on. Then, one day at work, I got a message from him apologizing for being busy and inviting me to a barbecue with his friends and bandmates in their yard. He had mentioned that their band manager provided the house to them to live in, and given the lack of views on their YouTube video and the fact that I had only seen one photo of him playing in the band, I figured he was probably exaggerating. I assumed it was more likely a bar manager friend gave them a discount on rent in exchange for being a house band or something, and I didn't think much of it beyond that. Normally, I wouldn't have agreed to go to a barbecue alone in a stranger's house, but I was really bored and figured that I might be able to overcome some social anxiety, maybe even make some female friends since he made it sound like a big party. I looked up the neighborhood that he gave me, and it was a suburban area with lots of families. I figured being in a yard on a nice summer day wouldn't be overly risky because there would be plenty of neighbors outside. Plus, it was just a few train stops away from my workplace, and I was off in a few hours. I told him that I wasn't entirely comfortable with the idea since I didn't know him well, but I'd stop by for a bit as long as he didn't have to go inside the house. Okay, now I'm starting to unremember the story, so I slept to your latest podcast and just hit Spotify last night and forgot the sleep timer. Woke up to a different voice podcast after the first one. I wonder who it was. Also, if you guys know any editors, like good editors, you know what I mean? Like someone with good experience, solid workflow, that kind of thing. I'm genuinely thinking about kicking off I don't know, every little project I want to start just doesn't really get momentum. And it's really just about surrounding yourself with consistent people. So I really do need just someone. Do I put my own stories on now? I mean, I don't mind listening to my voice anymore, but it's just, listening to yourself sometimes feels odd. I should, yeah. What if I'd really liked it? I'd be a total narcissist. A narcolepsist. You got no job working on Minecraft videos? Yeah, I was just looking at a channel more recently. It was called Scary Interesting, because somebody reached out to me saying they wrote a few scripts for that. And yeah, craft. If obviously send some of your examples of your work and that kind of thing through my email, letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com, and let me know. I really just want to find someone who's consistent, that they can put time into that project specifically. Because sometimes you work with people and they just get so busy with other stuff. It's I just, there's nothing I hate more than working or collaborating with people and there's the unreliability of it, you know what I mean? I hated listening to my voice when I was young, but I started YouTube. I became insanely comfortable with it. I love hearing my voice and recording now. Yeah, it's you definitely get very familiar, as opposed to the past where you're like, what the hell, who's that? I told him I wasn't entirely comfortable with the idea since I didn't know him well, but I'd stop by for a bit as long as I didn't have to go inside the house. He assured me that was totally fine, which made me feel better. I even avoided drinking anything for the rest of my shift so I wouldn't have to use the bathroom and risk going inside. Since he had implied the event was already underway, I was anxious about just showing up. Plus, I knew finding a specific address from the backyard side would be kind of tricky, so I asked Simon if he could meet me at the train station since he said it was a quick walk. He agreed. and I let him know when I was leaving work and what time my train would arrive at his station. Now, red flag number 1, when I got to the train station at around 5:30 p.m., I looked around but couldn't find him. I messaged him and he said he was running behind and told me to start walking toward the neighborhood. I was about halfway across the massive train station parking lot when I finally spotted him wandering toward me. I recognized his clothes, bell-bottoms, not common, especially for men at the time, and long hair, but up close his face looked noticeably different from his photos. Maybe it was heavy-duty editing, or maybe he used pictures of his brother or something, I don't even know, but he looked older, not 25, more like 35. And this was the first real red flag, but I brushed it off. Maybe he was just self-conscious. Maybe he smoked a lot and never wore sunscreen. Maybe he just hadn't taken new pictures in a while. And besides, I was mostly there to make friends, so I told myself not to judge. Oh, and he was already very drunk. But a lot of my ex's friends were heavy drinkers, so that didn't seem strange. He was hosting a barbecue with friends after all. Now, red flag number 2. When we got to the front door, I reminded him that I wasn't comfortable going inside. He assured me that we just had to walk through the house to get to the backyard. Fine, I thought. The layout of the neighborhood didn't allow easy access to the backyard from the street, and the alternative would have been walking back to the main road and around the block. I figured that he had just forgotten my request and didn't want to make a big deal out of it, so I went along with it. The moment we stepped inside, he locked the deadbolt and knob behind me. But the good thing is that if we did read this story, it would have been real recently. It would have been less than a month ago. Wait a second. The basement was for, instinctively remember to believe. Dude, I don't understand. Whenever I put the bar or something beyond, normally I would have just, I tell him I wasn't comfortable with the idea and I didn't know him well. Because I swear to God, AI fucking like changes the story. No matter how much you say, like, fix the grammar and keep it the same, like, it's, swear to God, it changes the fucking story. Alright, whatever. I'm just gonna read it from Reddit directly. Hey, Luke. What's up, dude? Long time. The second red flag came shortly after when we arrived at the front door. I reminded him that I wasn't comfortable going inside the house, but he assured me that we just had to walk through to get to the backyard. Okay, fine. It wasn't the kind of neighborhood where you could just walk around the house to get to the backyard. We would have had to backtrack to the main road to go down the alley directly to the backyard, and I figured he just forgot what I said about not wanting to go inside and didn't want to cause a bunch of trouble, so I just sort of went with it. We got into the house and he immediately closed the door and locked the deadbolt and knob behind me. I didn't think that was too weird, since nobody was hanging out inside and a lot of people were just in the habit of locking the door when they come in, but it did still give me the heebie-jeebies for some reason. Then Simon told me that he really liked to give a tour. Then Simon told me that he'd really like to give me a tour of the house. I politely declined and reminded him that I was just there for the barbecue, and he said that he and his bandmates had worked really hard to get the house and was really proud of it. At that point, I was getting really skeptical because usually when guys would tell me things that seemed a bit far-fetched, they'd let the truth slip by the time they got me in their house. But still, I convinced myself that I was being unreasonable. I was already in a stupid house anyways, and he insisted to be quick. Not the wisest choice again, I know. But I was pretty good at explaining away red flags, so at this point, Simon still mostly had a dopey stoner art guy kind of vibe as far as I was concerned. He didn't really seem like a threat, just an insecure oddball who sucks at communicating and fibs a bit. Not unlike my ex, who was definitely emotionally and verbally abusive, but it never escalated past that. I figured at worst, he'd get handsy and I'd get called a prude for not sleeping with him. I didn't have a lot of self-worth at that time, obviously, so once again, I just went with it. The tour started pretty uneventfully, other than the decor in the common area was obviously chosen by a middle-aged Martha Stewart enthusiast and not a bunch of guys in a band or their fake band manager. I didn't know if this should make me feel better or worse. On one hand, he was clearly lying, but on the other, it made me think it was probably just someone's mom's house and she was out of town and didn't want to tell me that he realized at a friend's parents' home. God, I fucking hate when the sentences are a goddamn paragraph. Also, I love that you were so natural about your body readings in your last... Oh, thank you. We're gonna do palm readings. Canada loves me, thank you. I have such bad insomnia, however, you really do help me sleep. That's good. Sleep is how you stay sane, otherwise you go crazy. You're scared to live in Canada? How come? What happened? I guess it just depends on where. Because obviously, like, Toronto is wildly, wildly different than the Yukon, right? Am I redhead? No. That's just a video or a picture that I posted on, or I kind of like trollily sent a different celebrity person to famous birthdays, and then they just kept it. Toronto. You want me to send the resume to your story submissions email? Yeah, let's read submissions at gmail.com. Would be ideal, and just, you know, if you have examples of your work and all that kind of stuff that, you know, just kind of keep it professional. That would be sick nasty. Hey, thank you, Donna. On one hand, he was clearly lying, but on the other, it made me think it was probably just someone's mom's house and she was out of town and didn't want to tell me that he lived at a friend's parents' home and didn't actually have a paying job. Again, total red flag, but I could rationalize it at the time. The bedroom's doors were all closed, bathroom was unremarkable, and he then showed me the kitchen and I finally saw through the window that there was nobody in the backyard. There weren't even barbecue supplies around. No burgers thawing on the counter, no cocktail supplies lying around, nothing. And I asked him where everyone was and why he lied about the barbecue, and he told me that his bandmates were still on tour still. Still on tour still. Feet. Give us a spin. Spin around. Give us a spin. Give that voice a spin. Never thought about sending a story, and I'd love to do that. Yeah, Curb, send one in. Let's read submissions, gmail.com. Yerd. And thank you, and welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. No Diddy is the 2025 version of No Homo. Yeah, pretty much. Still wild. I heard that tomorrow, during business hours, that they were going to declassify the Epstein list. But I don't know, there's a part of me that feels like it's going to be a very heavily redacted and or limited hangout type experience where you're led to believe that the individuals declassifying it are not somehow controlled or blackmailed by the same apparatus or whatever, you know? I don't know. Because, I mean, I just, you know, it's one of those things where, like, if the real truth ever came out, it would, I don't know, I feel like every power structure would just, like, sort of implode upon itself. They destroyed it, man. Bondi destroyed the data. Who's Bondi? You guys gotta keep me up to date on all the deets. I asked him where everyone was and why he lied about the barbecue, and he told me that his bandmates were still on tour, and they were just running behind due to van trouble, but they should be back any minute so we could start the party. I asked him why he wasn't on tour with them, if he's in the band. I don't even remember what his answer was to that because it didn't make any sense. And at this point, I'm out of mental gymnastics to convince myself that this guy isn't just completely full of crap, and I'm really freaked out. It took me long enough. I'm smarter now, don't worry. I started trying to figure out a way to get out of this situation, though. I hoped that once he was done, the tour would... Okay. It wouldn't reflect well on our fat president. Bondi is attorney general. Oh, okay. I was gonna say, like, I mean, I've heard, like, that was one of the weirdest, like, but like, kind of, whenever you reason away, like, that's the one unfortunate thing about our current political system, is that people are so incredibly biased towards their identity politics side that, like, whether you're left or right leaning, you know, you want to give a pass to your favorite guy, you know, because he's your god, he's your you know, mascot, he's your whatever, he or she. And instead of, like, being honest and, like, telling the truth in a situation, like, there were circumstances and, like, kind of rumblings here and there that there were, like, Trump was compromised, and at least within the same circles as, like, Epstein for many, many years. Back when it had his, like, first wife or whatever in, like, New York, I forget who it was, but so I just cannot imagine for the life of me that you wouldn't be somewhat aware of who a person was if both of you are, like, just casual billionaires and you're hanging out at, like, some Victoria's Secret model, you know, recruiting agency or whatever together. So I don't know. I doubt that whatever comes out tomorrow will be the truth. I'm not mincing words. He is compromised and our government is compromised. I mean, yeah, I'm just curious, though, like, what's the end goal? You know what I mean? Obviously, controlling both sides makes the most sense, but is the next 4 years just going to be chaos eventually? Is it going to be, like, some sort of economic explosion of poop? Or are things, I don't know, what do you anticipate coming down the line? Nothing's gonna change, I'm sure. Poop explosion for sure. Like the last 16 years. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, you look at COVID, it was, like, more economic than it was whatever the fuck was going on. They're selling $500 million gold cards for Russian oligarchs. I never heard of that. What, they're just gonna transfer? Are they gonna bring, like, their business here? What's the deal with that? You're selling rug pull crypto coins. Me too, dude. We should all trade. Rich gonna get richer and poor going to suffer more. Yeah. To gain citizens in the US, you have to win the lottery to apply. I hope that once he was done, the tour... God damn it. Alright, you know, we're just going to throw it back into ChatGPT and just ask it to be, not annoying. Fix this grammar and don't change the story. Bong. I'm a new member. I feel so special. I have extra access. Heck yeah, Curbs. Let me know what you think of all the bonus content. There's quite a few videos we're up to now, so you can make your way through that playlist. Donald J. Trump might be taken out. Yeah, actually, that was a theory that I had for a while, because it's clear that there's, like, very much a desire to go into conflict with Iran, right? That's, like, the seventh... Remember back, like, post 9/11, it was like 7 countries in 5 years or something So they've had Iran in their sights for like quite a while. And Trump did go out of his way whenever like Netanyahu was visiting to sit there and say like, if Iran, you know, assassinates me, I've left notes saying, I've left a note. You can open it. It's got a little bow on it that to obliterate them, to absolutely obliterate them. You know, Biden probably should have left a note too. He didn't. He's always got his like mannerisms are, I don't know. It seems like they've gotten worse as far as like his repetition of certain lines. So I wouldn't be surprised if like some part of like the Illuminati style like grandiose plan is like to portray Trump as this, you know, savior of whatever to the conservative side, and then take him out so that he still maintains his legacy and the superficial level that he's like, done all I could for the country, but they don't want me, man. They don't, you know, which then descends the nation into some degree of civil conflict, blah, blah, blah. And then, oh, we also have to go to war abroad in Iran, and it's going to get ugly. And all of a sudden, all the peace deals break down with Russia and fucking China because they're buddies. And Brazil, you know, you got Brazil with like BRICS and all that kind of shit. And it's just, I don't know. Hopefully, I mean, maybe that's just like a war game theory I've had in my head for a while, but I would appreciate if things just, can't they just like, why does everything have to be chaotic? Like, I get it, you gather power and stuff from chaos, but can't you just chill for a little while? Can't we just have a nice, like, stagnant 100 years of just straight chilling? And then, you know, a meteorite hits or something, and you could even just fake a meteorite strike. No one would even be any the wiser, and then you wouldn't have any side to blame at all. Do the stories, and then you also connect with all of us. You really are a kind soul. Thank you. Is that a butt plug? Probably. I hope that once he was done with the tour, we could go outside, even just for a minute, and I'd just leave. I've been in some sketchy situations in the past, but luckily, nothing so bad that they tried very hard to physically stop me when I walked away in a semi-public place. I just wasn't comfortable doing it inside the house. I knew this guy was full of crap, but I had no idea how much worse it would get. I instinctively pretended to believe his nonsense. He offered me a beer and I said no thanks because I had to work in the morning. He said okay and cracked one open for himself. He then wanted to take the tour downstairs, and I could see from the top of the stairs that the basement was the dark and creepy kind with really small windows, so right there, thankfully I refused. I asked if we could go back outside, and he said after the tour. I tried to argue about going into the basement and told him I had a spider phobia, didn't like basements, etc. All lies, but anything to keep him from realizing that he was what I was afraid of. He started to get agitated about my reluctance, so I figured it would be better to just let him show me the damn basement, and then hopefully we could go outside because I really didn't know what else to do. And the basement was fairly unremarkable. Couch, TV, elliptical, until I noticed something else that gave me chills. The house was probably built in the 1990s or late 80s as... She's like, I didn't want to go in the basement, so I decided to go in the fucking basement. Bubba with the 2 says, I can hear you using your hands during... You hear me? Yeah, you can hear the wind flowing. It's because, dude, when he moves his hands, you guys don't realize it, but he's literally casting a spell. Like, I don't know how if you guys ever like watched enough Harry Potter to know, like, that is a fucking spell that he's casting upon everyone. It's like he's orchestrating a fucking band. Absolutely, like, and he might be a witch. He might be a high-level witch that we like are completely awares of, and his like sort of repetitious, like, it might possibly be the biggest, scariest spider in the basement. Probably. Why does he do that? What, like, why? I mean, maybe it's just a nervous tick Or, you know, I really do want somebody to dig into like the body language of that kind of stuff, where it's like, if someone repeats these particular lines, it's almost like a poker hand tell, you know, like your body language gives away when you're lying or when you're misleading or whatever. Yeah. It's probably the biggest, Upa in Gangnam. Doesn't he have a form of dementia? Yeah, probably from all the Diet Dr. Pepper Zero, which I have stopped drinking, by the way. I just want you guys to know I've switched to kombucha. It's way better. Psyops. I saw a spider in my bathroom yesterday. We both froze in place, then ran away. Dude, I've seen some spiders are, dude, they seem way too sentient for what they are. Like, they'll like look at you and then look like they're coming at you and then try to fucking juke you a little bit. Kamkucha. I saw something about why he does it, and it said that making that gesture with your hands creates trust in the viewer's subconsciousness. I mean, I figured it's something, you know, it's... At this point, I have just come to the conclusion that no matter who you are as a politician, you have some strange abstract ties to the occult. And that if you've gotten that far, you've been trusted by those in power beyond yourself. And you probably know how to do some minor degree of magic. But it's not good magic. It's probably the darkest magic ever, really. But I do like the memes where they like people, like, you know, it's like sassy Trump or sassy girl Trump. He's like, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, what are you even talking about? You don't even, he has like 4 things that he does. Like, that's one of my fucking favorite mannerisms. And they're like, do you have a plan for them? He's like, I have a semblance of a plan. And it's like, it's a girl with a skirt like poking her fingers together. I have a semblance of a plan. You're responsible for washing your own cult cloak, and you also have to pay for it too. It's true. It's all dry cleaning too, so the bills add up. It should be included in the membership. All right. He's the Drake of politics. That's funny. I don't know. The nice thing is that, like, at least there's been this sort of zeitgeist movement where you can make fun of the president right now. But in the same way, the vitriolic hate that people have towards him, it's also conditioned people's brains to have defended Biden for like 4 years. That's literally a direct quote from him for the past 4 years, and it's for some reason, like, if you made any sort of abstract sort of you know, observation that maybe he shit his pants as he walked up Air Force One, you were somehow a bit of a jerk. And it's like, come on, guys, can we be a little bit more open-minded to hating both sides equally? The house was probably built in the 1990s or late 80s at the absolute earliest, but I saw a door that looked just like the heavy foam-lined door to the cold storage room in my grandma's house, the kind that only opens from the outside. It was just a smaller version of the big metal doors on commercial walk-in fridges, and it looked really out of place in this house. I absolutely would not go anywhere near that door. He opened it and told me it was their soundproof music studio. I looked inside from a few meters away, and it did look soundproof. It was about the size of a bedroom, and I could see a few guitars and amps in it. Mattress toppers on the walls, no drum kit or recording equipment that I could see, though, and he insisted that I go inside to get a better look. He was standing outside the door, motioning for me to go inside. And my God, the alarm bells were really going off now. At this point, I realized that I could actually die here if I wasn't careful. I turned around and ran up the stairs. He closed the door and followed me, asking what was wrong, acting like I was being unreasonable for not wanting to see his soundproof music studio. And that's when I realized this was way sketchier of a situation than any of my ex's nonsense, and I was freaked out. At that point, my main objective was getting out of this house. The front and back doors were both closed and locked, so I tried to run. He'd be able to get to me before I could get the locks open. The bathroom didn't have a window. The house had a convoluted floor plan that I wasn't familiar with, and he was much bigger than I was. He was the tall, lanky type, someone who could run fast even if they were out of shape and smoked a pack a day. I pretended that I was okay with hanging out in the hopes that he'd chill out a bit, and we made small talk for a few minutes. He cracked another beer, and thankfully he calmed down, and I desperately mentioned, yet again, that it was beautiful outside and suggested that we go sit in the yard while we waited. He said no and started to get agitated that I wanted to leave already. I told him that I could stay, but I'd really like to smoke a cigarette. He told me that we could smoke inside and pointed to a cereal bowl full of cigarette butts. God damn it. We sat down at the table and lit some cigarettes, and as he was smoking, he started rolling a joint, which he promptly lit as soon as his cig was done. He offered me some, and I said no thanks. He insisted, so I took the smallest puff I could. I'm a pretty seasoned weed smoker, but I pretended to cough excessively and told him that I was a novice, that was more than enough for me. And for a liar himself, he thankfully wasn't very good at picking up on the lies of others. And after we smoked, he asked if I'd like to watch a movie until his bandmates got back. I told him that I was really looking forward to spending the day outside and suggested that we go for a walk or visit the park, ideas he did not like or appreciate. At this point, I was just trying to keep as much distance as possible between us, but he stayed close enough that I could smell the beer on his breath. He grabbed me by the waist and I backed away. I asked about the barbecue food to try and change the subject, to make him think that I still believed what he was telling me. He started to get angry again and sternly reiterated that his bandmates should be home any minute. My anxiety was absolutely through the roof. I tried to calm him down again with very generic small talk. And now I don't know how I got so lucky, but the next thing that happened might have saved me. Simon went to the fridge to get another beer and pulled out an empty box. At this point, he was getting even more pissed off than before, so I went out on a limb and suggested that we go get more beer for the party, because I was out of ideas. I was terrified that suggesting once again that we leave the house would I saw a thing earlier insinuating Kendrick Lamar could be a fae. I could see it, not like us being a bloodline curse. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, what's a fae? Is that that's like an Irish fairy or something like that with powers or some shit? Watch fae be like a slur. Damn it. You knew a girl named Faye? She was a bae. Hell yeah, dude. She had little wings. Yeah, who knows anymore? But it'd be so funny if, like, for some reason, like, the occult power structure that sort of operates around the world via banking or whatever it might be, like, is... like, they have all these... I'm a witch, I'm a 42nd level witch. High in the Masonic Lodge, and blah, blah, but it's actually just a bunch of like corny ass dipshits that like have no powers at all, and it's just really cringe. Mel, welcome back for 3 messages. Hey chat, hey Littery, thanks for being here. Thank you, Mel. Good to see you. I don't know. I mean, I highly don't think that you get to the Super Bowl without being like some degree of sold soul. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, look at every previous Super Bowl production. Like, it's not like like the fact that people could just be convinced that this one was somehow just natural and you know, speaking out against the man. It's like, dude, you're literally at the world's biggest, you know, money making scheme in the entire fucking modern Rome. You know, there's nothing about it that's going to speak out against whatever you perceive as power. Address that I can send something fun. No, I don't have a P.O. box or anything like that. All the season Chiefs being accused of cheating, then all of a sudden the Eagles destroy them and it's ran by the... Well, you know, in this, I definitely feel like just to maintain some degree of like faith within the NFL system, they just allowed them to play, you know, organically. And I mean, the Eagles definitely seem like they destroyed them. But I've seen stuff where people just compile like all of like the... I mean, obviously the Chiefs are good, you know, they're a good team, but obviously showing quite a bit of preferential treatment in many of their calls throughout the season. Have I heard of a Faye trap? I've not. No, what's that? You're sober, Jared? That's good. You want to talk about DARPA again? Yeah, it's weird, man. I mean, who fucking knows? I think that's the craziest thing, is like whenever you just like have almost 100 plus years of just like scientific research with unlimited resources and essentially a borderline religious line of like hierarchy and control. I mean, who knows what they've discovered in their time in developing research, and then who knows like the degree of... I mean, you guys mentioned about the internet being created by DARPA, all sorts of other technologies created by DARPA, and you know, the prevailing theory that once those like larger institutions generate the technology 20 or so years prior, then they want to like implement it into the public to either for like mass surveillance or whatever it might be. You just find your people, you know, you could probably just like, I would not, and I'm not even joking, I would not be surprised if one day we truly do find out that Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk were actually just like Gen 1 cyborgs of sorts. You know what I mean? Like, how do they not? I get it. They're dorks, they're dweebs, whatever. But they really do seem like legitimate robot people. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're just like, that's who you would want to control. You just want to control people who think that they're a thing, you know? And then you have a movie like, do you remember The Social Network? You just put out a movie like that with like a fabricated concept of what is like life and history was or whatever. How do I feel? There's nothing that I feel towards Elon Musk. You know what I mean? There's really nothing that you can feel. And you really don't want to like constantly feel reality. Because if you feel reality all the time, it's going to obscure your like logical perception of actual reality. I say this as I'm talking about like fairies and stuff, but yeah, I don't know. You know, you don't... I've heard people... You have to sometimes attempt to look between the lines or read between the lines. Like, as much as people want to sit there and act like Elon Musk is a free speech, whatever, but it's like clear that he still like censors people on Twitter. It's clear that he still like doesn't allow certain people's tweets to like reach a certain audience, whatever it might be. And it is questionable in like this sort of like Doge audit and like gathering people's information. I mean, that's a lot. Like, if you get a hold of like people's like health information and you integrate that into AI, especially with like predictive programming, not necessarily predictive programming, but like within the realm of like pre-health and pre-crime world, using like AI to anticipate when someone might die, anticipate when someone might do something negative, and then you start to integrate that in also to like measuring their biometrics and like determining patterns and activity. That to me is what's scary, is when you can gather all that data and start to use it to essentially create sort of a surveillance grid-like system to anticipate people's movements and activities, and then who knows, maybe at some point influence what they think or do as well in like a reverse sense. The Antarctica Wall. Musk follows that thing called Dark Enlightenment. What's that about? Sister's moving to Colombia because she's afraid to stay in America. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a bit of an overreaction, unless like where she lives in America is dog shit. Like if she lived in fucking, I don't know, Dade County or Compton or Detroit. You know what I mean? Like lived in like an area where there was like inner city, like territorial drug war violence or some shit. And you have like an objective reason to just like get the fuck out, like sure, but for the most part, I think America is, I mean, it's literally massive. There's so many different like subcultures and little towns and shit, you know. She could have just moved to fucking Pennsylvania. Been totally fine. Portland, yeah. Isn't that what Minority Report is about? Yeah, and I kind of feel like it wouldn't be surprising if that's what we're kind of moving towards in the future. I mean, like, that's been the obsession. If you've ever, like, heard of Sun Tzu, or what's his name, Sun Tzu, with Art of War, like, one of his biggest things is, like, you don't even have to, like, really enforce a lot of, like, laws most of the time. You just have to surveil. Just surveil your... You know, surveil your cattle is what I'm trying to say. Is like just keep an eye on them. And that's kind of what our future is going to be. It's like we already are constantly, endlessly surveilled through post 9/11 Patriot Act, which Trump did re-sign into or re-up or whatever during his first term. So let's not pretend that that's not questionable, at least. The Art of Horror. Yeah, I'm writing that book. The Art of Snore, CPAP Warriors. Hell yeah, dude. You couldn't breathe. I was unable to breathe in the dark. I feel like there's a in the dark Bane joke in there somewhere. Elon bad, but yet people act like Google wasn't already caught stealing user data to sell. At least Elon offered his services for free to keep the symbol of the West from imploding. No, yeah, I understand. I'm not once again, I think we have to be careful not to get pulled into the concept of this left versus right idea, and I think it's important to criticize the entirety of it, because it's kind of like, I don't know, you're a chicken on a farm, and the one dog wants to eat you, and so does the wolf, you know? And sometimes the dog with the spiked necklace like bites the wolf to keep the wolf away from you. But in reality, both of them are going to devour you at some point. You just kind of just a waiting game if you start to, and it would be illogical to sort of show preferential treatment to either one, I guess external from maybe our natural inclination towards survival through some tribalistic means, I don't know. Sounds so much better into than you in the last few weeks. I'm so happy and thrilled you're feeling better, less burnout. Oh, thanks, Tribble. I don't think I've been burnt out, but Insanity Wolf, yeah. It's not Dems and Replugs, we are... What do you mean? Inviting Putin to a birthday party? What do you mean? You mean for the peace talks or whatever? I thought it was... So Putin and Zelensky are coming tomorrow? Are they staying at my house? He will continue to have many children by surrogates, meaning he can pick any woman he is willing, adding both genes together and making a group of little Mus. I am curious about that, like what the whole concept there. Maybe it's sort of like a strange fetish, Genghis Khan type idea or whatever, but I don't know. It's a weird concept. What's the weather like? It's starting to warm up a little bit. It was raining today, and all of the fucking snow is melting away, which kind of creates like fog and some flooding scenarios. Yeah. I was terrified that suggesting once again that we leave the house... God damn it. That we leave the house... I was terrified that suggesting once again that we leave the house would enrage him. I was terrified that suggesting once again that we leave the house would enrage him even more, but I had to try. And thankfully, though, his eyes lit up with the possibility that I might actually be down to drink with him, and he agreed. As we were walking to the liquor store, I Still didn't really have a plan because I was no longer comfortable just walking away from this menace in this weirdly desolate suburb. But I was extremely relieved to be out of that house. When we got to the store, I told him that I didn't need to go inside if he was just grabbing beer, and he insisted that I had to go in. At that point, I was so stressed and frazzled that I just went with him and hoped that a good opportunity to leave would arise. Inside, he asked what kind of beer I wanted, and I reminded him that I had to work tomorrow and didn't want to drink too much, and he demanded to know what kind of beer I wanted, so I just named the first one that came to mind. We went to pay. The cashier was kind of an a-hole, so I didn't ask for help. I probably should have, but I panicked. I regretted it, but I also remembered the times my ex... Dude, this chick is... Oh my god. I swear to God, like, some people live their life under the, like, hope and anticipation that it does turn into, like, a let's read, let's not meet story. Like, as they're experiencing it, they're almost, like, getting a thrill out of the fact that they get to, like, send it in to my channel to be read, because every decision she has made thus far is just... I don't know. She's like, well, I'm just going to put my hand in the crocodile's mouth a little bit. I mean, I hope it doesn't bite me. Oh my God, it almost bit me. Well, okay. I mean, it is warm in there. It is I don't want to run out of its enclosure. I don't want to make it feel bad because then it's going to chase after me. We went to pay, and the cashier was kind of an a-hole, so I didn't ask for help. I probably should have, but I panicked. I regretted it, but I also remembered the times my ex told people that I was crazy so they wouldn't take me seriously, and this liquor store guy definitely seemed like he'd fall for that. I had one last idea before I took my chances running. There was a drugstore across from the liquor store. I told Simon that I had to buy a toothbrush, something that vaguely implied that I might stay over, and he eagerly agreed but tried to follow me inside. I told him that you can't bring beer into a drugstore. I have no idea if that's true, I doubt it's a law, but this drunk douchebag believed it and agreed to wait outside. And now my naive self thought maybe I could just wander around long enough and he'd get the hint or leave. But no. Half an hour later, he was still standing there staring through the window. I ended up hovering near the tills, waiting for a big group of friendly-looking people, and when they left, I followed them out and immediately told Simon to leave me alone and go home. I said it firmly and loudly enough to imply that I would make a scene if need be. Simon looked at the people getting into the car, who were now pausing and staring at us, and then he just turned around and left. Bizarrely anticlimactic, thank God, and I ran to the train station and never heard from him again. When I got home, his app profile had either blocked me or been deleted. And years later, I wish I had reported him. It bothers me to wonder if he tried that again, but maybe the... Oh, Christ. I know, I have no idea, bro. This was her exciting evening. Years later, I wish I had reported him. It bothers me to wonder if he tried it again, but made sure that the fridge was stocked first. Wait, what does that mean? Didn't you have a cell phone? She could have called the police and just at least said I feel uncomfortable or I feel schmidnapped or fucking something. Yeah, I know. There was literally 3 instances where she's like, I probably shouldn't have jumped off this cliff, but man, it was so exhilarating. All right. Boing, boing. We're going to put it through the grammar test. Fix. Mr. Electric, fix this grammar and don't change the story. Bonk, bonk, bonk. There we go. Keep up with the chat and listen to the stories. 99% of the time I have no idea what the story's about. It's all good. I mean, I think the streams for me and for you guys for the most part is just kind of a social thing. Like, I know that if anybody wants to like hardcore listen to the story, they can just do it tomorrow, you know, when it comes out, or on Patreon or whatever. You're just here so you don't get fined. Exactly. I will fine you. Why aren't you talking to Fox Mulder? Is he alive? Did he pass away? Oh, yeah. I'm a 19-year-old female living in the Pacific Northwest. A couple of months ago, I was looking for extra work because my hours at my regular job were terrible. I'm quiet, anxious, and don't have any friends, so, of course, I turned to Craigslist. I knew the site could be sketchy, but I was desperate for side gigs and hadn't had any luck as someone with no skills and not willing to do anything creepy online. One ad caught my attention. I knew the site could be sketchy, but I was desperate for side gigs and hadn't had any luck as someone with no skills and not willing to do OnlyFans. One ad caught my attention. It offered $50 for someone to take photos of a property using either a camera or something above an iPhone 12. I have an iPhone 14, promising that it would only take an hour or two. I emailed the poster and soon got a text back, and the man said that I seemed like the perfect fit and invited me over that same day. What's funny is I actually made a post on r/tooafraidtoask asking if it was a dumb idea, and everyone told me to take a person with me. I didn't, and deleted that post shortly after. The house was about 20 minutes outside of town, surrounded by dense forests. It was small and run down, but nothing really raised alarms, and the man who greeted me looked like he was maybe in his mid-50s, unremarkable. He invited me inside, and the house was completely empty. No furniture, just dust and dirt. I asked where to start taking photos, but he kept dodging the question, making small talk and asking personal questions about me instead. My anxiety was building, so I kept the small talk going, but then he began staring at me intensely. I dropped my phone at one point when we eventually started taking photos throughout the house, and when he picked it up, he held on to it a little too long before giving it back. Unprompted, while taking photos of the master bedroom, he brushed my face with his hand and complimented my skin. I knew it was stupid coming here, but at that point, my blood truly ran cold, and I was done making excuses in my head. I made a quick excuse to leave, something about my mom, but when I turned toward the door, he grabbed my arm. I still have the picture that I took after the ordeal of the bruises on my forearm, and it felt like it was going to get snapped in half. I had brought a small knife for self-defense, a gift from my paranoid mom who would have never have let me come here if she had known. And without thinking, I pulled it out and stabbed him in the arm. It was released with the push of a small button, and he let go, swinging at my arm with the knife, but I already was running out of the house. I got into my car and drove until I reached the gas station, and my heart was calm. I called the police and explained everything. They did take it seriously, and I came in to make a report and answer some questions. They searched that property in the surrounding forest but didn't find him, and the house had turned out to be abandoned, and in the basement they found a pack of zip ties. A report was made, but I know he's still out there. I call sometimes for updates, but it's never anything of substance. I've never told anyone about this other than the police, not even my mom. And I know typing this I sound pretty unbothered, but that was the first time anything like that has ever happened to me, and I have trouble leaving my house most days. I decided to type this out here as maybe a way of getting it off my chest, since it plagues my thoughts constantly. User 1234, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Thank you, thank you. What's up, Carly? You need to carry your gun. Yeah, everybody should train and learn how to use firearms, honestly. I sent the link to Fox Mulder at Let's Read in submission emails. Oh. Maybe I can catch it before it fills up. Was it something that happened, or? What is that? Chat GPT link? What is that? I don't want to click on it. It's weird. Chat GPT Golem? What does that even mean? Alright, well that story was good. Quick, to the point, and scary. Alright. Fix this grammar, but don't change. Walks like a duck, talks like a duck. It's ChatGPT. I don't understand what you're saying, man. Fix this grammar, but don't change the story. What do you think about today's algorithm and Instagram? That's weird. Somebody else mentioned that. What? Did something change for everybody? I guess I haven't really been looking at reels or anything like that, but I feel like I've seen some stuff. Did something specifically like change? I open it up and it's somebody holding a baby pig. But like from the POV of like their arms. I don't know. I don't know what you guys are asking. You're confusing my brain. I get a weird link to ChatGPT and then everybody says the other algorithm's off base. Like live birth, murder, fights. Huh. You know, somebody else earlier. Was that you that mentioned it earlier? Because if two people were mentioning that their algorithms are off. Ask Fox Mulder what he thinks about UAPs. Oh, okay, okay. I do remember that one episode, or that one episode of the X-Files where he's talking about, and Joel McHale is on it, and it was probably like one of the most like succinct anticipations of like the future that I could ever like imagine in a show. I think I've even like played it in during a live stream before, but it's quite creepy, and like a lot of the UAPs are just like man-made from like reverse engineering, you know, extraterrestrial bullshit. Oh, yours is bad too. It's a ridiculous amount of gore and instantly death. Yeah, I don't like seeing all that kind of stuff. I like randomly, I get that too, where like some dude was, which is crazy, like where do people even get these fucking videos? I thought LiveLeak was like gone, but it was like some guy at like a, I don't know if it was a lathe or some sort of machine that is spinning obviously at insane rates, and then one guy's on one side, the other guy's on the other, and it's from like, did I tell about this before? But it was like from the kind of bird's eye view from the security camera, and the dude gets like sucked into it, and you can barely yeah, I don't even know if it's a bandsaw, but it's just like something where the dude gets sucked into it, and I swear to God, it's like all of his bones and himself just immediately get like flattened. And like the dude that like sees it happen in front of him just immediately turns around and he's like, nope. He just like, you see him raise his hand and he's like, welp. He does like a whelp reaction. Welp. You know, and I'm just like, holy fuck. That is actually like surprisingly a human reaction in like a weird way where you're just like, fucking shit. What can you do? My friend's dead now. Yeah, it's terrible. I don't know. I don't know why Instagram feels so comfortable. Like for years and years, weren't these like the censorship apps? And now it's like, all right, guys, we're just going right to snuff films. David Buttplug Duchovny was his nickname on set. Perfect. That's what he wants to be remembered by. To preface this, I am currently 19 years old, going on 20. Due to a vindictive teacher, my grades were manipulated so that I had to repeat the 3rd grade, just because I called another student a brat for crying about wanting her mom. The context behind it is irrelevant, but the gist is that the girl believed that she could cry her way into mom. What is this? Why is this relevant? Eventually, Snap told the girl that she was in 3rd grade, too old to be crying for her mom, probably harsh, but... It's like, what does that have to do with fucking anything? In August of 2023, I was in my junior year at a trade school in Sumeru County. I gotta look that up. Sumeru. Yeah, whatever. Sumeru County sounds A-okay. Subaru County, yeah, filled with lesbians. Be funny. In August of 2023, I was in my junior year at a trade school in Sumeru County for graphic design. A sophomore named James noticed that I wasn't getting dropped off at our home school like he was, and one day he offered to drive me home. I didn't know this kid well. I had spoken to him a few times, but we weren't friends. I told him that my mom prefers to meet people before letting me ride in a random person's car, especially a guy's. At the time, I was 18, so I also mentioned that if he got into a wreck, I would be legally responsible as the adult in the car. And after that, he didn't really bother me much. We still talked occasionally, and it was clear that he wasn't neurotypical, but things didn't get creepy until my senior year. We exchanged numbers because I sometimes helped him with homework that he didn't fully understand, and I also recommended some horror channels on YouTube, like Reddit stories, creepypasta readings, or channels that covered disturbing videos such as Hannah the Horrible, Nick Crowley, and Nexpo. And within a month, he somehow found my home address, and I never told him where I lived, and he got dropped off way earlier than I did. The way our homeschool system worked was that all students on the west side of Fontaine heading to Solani went to one middle school and high school, while students from East Fontaine going to Liu. Where is this place? These sound like Hawaii schools. Is that where they said they were from? No. Liu. I don't know. Liu. That sounds right. Went to Liu. Sulani and Liu. Oh, it's East Russian? Okay, I guess that makes sense too. The live streams, yeah. I think just reading in general, sucks out all the goo from my brain. Hey, Vixa, what's up? If some of you guys don't have profile pictures, I suggest that you get them now, before it's too late. Donald Trump is going to illegalize profile pictures soon, especially anime ones. He says they're gay. The way our homeschool system worked was that all students on the west side of Fontaine heading into Solani went to one middle school and high school, while students from East Fontaine going into Liu, god damn it, Liu. I'm probably wrong, but whatever. The way our homeschool system worked was that all students on the west of... Do we really need to know these town names, for fuck's sake? I hate when people just include specifics for no reason. Do you want us to list 5 things we did this past week? Yeah, that'd be cool. I like reading what you guys do with your life, and it gives me something to talk about. The way our homeschool system worked was that all students on the west side of... God, I cannot make it through this. Yeah, apparently gay porn is woke now. Did you guys hear about this? They're turning two dudes kissing and having sex. They're making the stories woke. The way our homeschool system worked was that all students on the west side of Fontaine heading into Solani went to one middle school and high school, while students from East Fontaine going into Layu went to a different high school. I never told this kid where I lived, not even a rough area, and at this point I started documenting everything, no matter how big or small. Over the next few months, if I fell asleep on the bus, he would tap my headphones, snap them against my ears, kick my legs, shake me, or call my phone just to force me to talk to him. And in April, he asked me to prom, and I repeatedly told him that I was not interested. He tried to manipulate me into going, so I ended up lying and saying that I had a family event that day. After that, I reported him to the principal for harassing and shaming people into going to prom, and he gave me the most insincere apology ever. It was clear that he had been forced to do it. The next day, he called me and asked if my sister drove a red car and worked at a Sango with a fucking... What the hell is this? You live in a nursing home? How come? What happened? Okay, why do they make gay porn its own website, but lesbians have to wade through fake lesbian and straight content? Wait, what do you mean? But lesbians have to wade through fake lesbian and straight content. Wait, so you're saying that they don't have a designated area specifically for lesbian? Can't you just search it in the porn search? In the Library of Alexandria of porn? Oh. Wait, fuck. Sangono... How do you even say this shit? Sangonomia, whatever. I told my client who was living in assisted living today, that I was moving in with him. Had an infection tunneling up through my tailbone. Now I need a hip replacement. Oh damn, Brad, I'm sorry about that. Dude, those are fucking tough. Hopefully you got a good like skincare nurse or something to just get that shit stopped at least. That's fucking... Damn, I'm sorry. I haven't watched porn in 8 years. Same here. I didn't even know. I actually forgot that people even had sex. Oh, you have an endoscopy? How come? The next day, he called me and asked if my sister drove a red car or worked at the Sangonomia coffee house, and I quickly told him no and blocked his number. I then went to administration, bringing up the fact that this kid had been calling me to ask if I had gone to Dollar General, if I was at work, or if I was at home. He also told me disturbing thoughts about wanting to kill his mom's boyfriend, describing how he wanted to smash his teeth in. He'd smack his phone against the bus window, try to manipulate me into calling him while he was having a panic attack, and rant about how our math teacher needed to be gutted because she was overweight. He went on a misogynistic rant about how fat women are ugly and horrible vessels for producing babies, and she wasn't even overweight due to a poor diet. She had a medical condition that caused a buildup of estrogen. And the worst moment was when he lost his AirPods case and had a full-on meltdown. He aggressively stomped on his AirPods, foamed at the mouth, and threw a tantrum in pure rage. I reported everything to the principal and the school liaison, and instead of listening, they yelled at me for an hour, accusing me of being mean to a kid on the spectrum. I thought that he just played Overwatch. They even justified his actions by saying that my information, my mother's information, and my sister's information were all public anyway. At this point, I started having a panic attack and called my mom, and I was literally vomiting into the trash can in the conference room. My mom was pissed. She told me to call the sheriff's office as soon as I got home, and the sheriff actually went to the kid's house and warned him to knock it off, or else I had every right to file stalking and harassment charges. The 180 woman. I've been in an ulcerative colitis flare-up all week, so I just dealt with that. Yeah, using that BPC 157 stuff, I've heard that's supposed to really help with Crohn's and ulcerative colitis and that kind of thing. Maybe you can look into that as well. Healing the gut lining and whatnot. Yeah, any chance I can throw in some Overwatch shade, I'm gonna do it. I thought he just played Marvel Rivals. I thought he just watched ninja streams. What's up, Cupcake? Crime Girl, what's going on? The sheriff actually went to this kid's house and warned him to knock it off, or else I had every right to file stalking and harassment charges. The 180 Women's Shelter later confirmed that what the principal and liaison did was disgusting and dangerous, and so far I haven't seen him and I still have his number blocked. Hopefully I never see that little idiot again. And to James, if by some chance you ever see this post, stay away from me and my sister. I hope your future commanding officer finds out about all of this. Oh, and that's right. This guy wants to join the army. Hell yeah, dude. Okay, which one was that? Did I miss anything? Estrogen. Pissed. Alright. Whatevs. Don't go to the gas stations at night. Listen to your native stories you put out, and this is why you need to listen to Stolen Tongues, Joel. I'm telling you, you'll love it. What's that all about? I don't. Have you mentioned it before? I don't recall that being mentioned. Oh, fudge. Fix this grammar, but don't change the story at all. Well, change the story. Go to the gas station tonight because Danger is my middle name. You are Austin Powers, IRL. I have mentioned it to you many times before. Stolen Tongues is a native horror series, and it's freaking amazing. It was originally written on Reddit, and then I got turned into a book. It's so good. Oh, it's like fictional. It's not like some documentary style thing. Taking your cat to conversion therapy. Like, how do you know that he's gay? And it's like, well, he doesn't run away from me when we have sex anymore. It's Shane Dawson. Need some Tums. Ew, no, don't use Tums. Very bad for you. Apple cider vinegar before meal. Where's my water? I thought I had water. Dude, I had water. Non-existent birthday party. Yeah, we can celebrate here right now. Hold on a second. I gotta get my water. It's got Daddy's juice in it. Daddy wants, Daddy gets. lid full of apple cider vinegar in a shot glass, and top it with water and drink. Instant relief. Yeah. Alright. Joel, do a poll of how many male or female are here? Okay, yeah, get a vibe. Usually it's like 50-50 and just typical. Are you girl or boy? Alright. What daddy wants, daddy gets. Alright. How do we even read? I don't know how to do it. I stupidly decided to get gas at 11 p.m. one night because I hadn't made time before work. As I'm pulling up to the gas station, there are a couple of cars at the pumps, which make me feel somewhat relieved and safer going in. But I was wrong. I go inside to pay the clerk since I'm using cash, and as I'm heading back to the pump to fill up, most of the cars leave except for one truck parked pump poop. Too many P's for my mouth. Beetlejuice. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. 70% Goral. Alright. I go inside to pay the clerk since I'm using cash, and as I'm heading back to the pump to fill up, most of the cars leave, except for one truck parked 2 pumps away from me. I get into my car to wait for the gas to fill and start scrolling on my phone. Suddenly I see this guy walking suspiciously around the front of my car, and I glance up to see what he's doing. Unfortunately, we make eye contact. He asks if I have any change for gas, and I shake my head. No, sorry. And he responds, "Okay, that's cool. Hey, do you want me to remove your gas pump for you?" And I quickly respond, "I'm good, thanks." At this point, my tank is full, and he knows it, and he acts fidgety and walks away behind my car. I'm trying not to glare back too obviously, but I subtly am looking around trying to figure out where he is. I don't want to make it obvious how terrified I am. In my head, I'm thinking, how do I leave him still... In my head, I'm thinking, how do I leave with him still around my car? He's out of sight now, and the lot is empty, and I'm waiting for another car to pull up. 5 minutes pass and nothing. My fight-or-flight response is just kicking my head in, and it's freezing outside, and I haven't started my car yet because the pump is still in. I have no idea where this guy went. Finally, I see him walking towards his truck, but instead of getting in, he's just sort of lingering around it. And the second his back is turned, I go for it. I remove the pump, and as soon as he notices, he quickly starts approaching me again. "Oh, hey, you're really beautiful," he says, still walking toward me. And I nod quickly, but subtly, I put the gas cap back on, and then he says, "I don't look like a serial killer, do I?" With this crazed look in his eyes. Like, yeah, bro, you actually do. And at that point, I bolted to my car and just sped off. Did I use that dyslexic weighted font tonight? It's just since ChatGPT is like editing the grammar, it's honestly not too hard to read on there since it's in dark mode, and my screen's already a little bit orange from the flux. So for some reason, it's much easier to read it on there. I grew up with 50+ stray cats in my house as a child because my grandpa was a psycho and would just collect cats, and my house was covered in cat piss and cat poop, and they would pee on my clothes. Oh god. That sounds sick nasty. Controversial opinion, I don't like cats. I do like cats, but I don't ever want to own one as an adult. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like just an absolute fucking traumatic experience with kitty cats. Especially how they probably were, just being like nuts and shit all the time, fighting with each other and territorial. And I mean, maybe did you have like a favorite one out of all of the crazies? Damn, I cannot copy paste this shit right now. Fix this grammar, but don't change anything. Okay. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Okay, al pastor tacos are good. That does sound quite yummy. Dark mode is the best. I can't even stare at a standard white background anymore. Yeah, it's, if your eyes feel any type of like discomfort too, it's like definitely taking its toll in the long term. What's my go-to music to listen to? I mean, I don't know. Whatever the fuck YouTube suggests, I'll throw it on. But I do like a lot of like electronic stuff. Or like some like down tempo techno. I don't know. I love everything though, honestly. It's all just doesn't even matter. I mean, there's some music that I just can't vibe with at all. I liked Rocket Man. He was a tabby. Pee-wee, my favorite. He was a black cat and he lived till he was 24, died last year. And Benny was a gray kitty. She would bring me gifts and shoes and had 6 toes. That's funny. So you should get a cat. I draw with a dark green background and I get a migraine. Dark green, interesting. Would you listen to jazz or classical music? Yeah, I love jazz a lot, honestly, and I love classical music. The thing about classical music is that like you really never know what you're gonna get, since it's truly just so many, I guess, subgenres in and of itself. I actually don't know what I just said there, but I feel like it's definitely very like what you would consider classical music is all over the place. Favorite EDM artist? Honestly, I can't really say, because I feel like there's so many that sometimes you just listen to a song that slaps and it's always just like some other dude, you know? But one thing, if I ever need something to just like really chill out / like zone out to, there's this one group called, or one guy called Yagya, Y-A-G-Y-A, and he makes like down tempo, I guess you call it. And there's this one song called Raining, which I think is like Dutch for raining, but it's spelled like R-E-I-G-N or something, I forget, but, or maybe it's just R-E-I-N-I-N-G. It's good stuff. I suggest you really enjoy Bossa Nova. Yeah, I'll have to remember that. Favorite color? Probably green, but like, you know, fit the vibe kind of green. Porter Robinson, I don't recall, honestly. That's what I'm saying. There's so many artists. I'm sure they're all kick ass. It's tough to keep up with everybody. Yeah, oh, Odessa. Yeah, I do. Every morning my alarm clock goes off and it'll play like some form of like Odessa or like Odessa adjacent. And it's just very inspirational stuff. You know, I know it sounds stupid, but like some people might consider their music like maybe like the superficial concepts of electronic music or something. I don't even know why they would think that, but I'm inclined to believe that they might consider it more poppy, but I love it, man. It's so good. Do I like blues? Yeah, blues is good. I don't know if you remember Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? They met this guy who was sold his soul to play the guitar, and he played some blues song. I forget what it was called, but it was, I don't think they ever like officially recorded it in studio. They only had the audio from when they were playing it around the fire, and it was just so good. where to go. Crossroad Blues. I forget what it is. Something to do with prison. Was, as this was several years ago, a 35-year-old blonde, white, petite Italian-American with barely 2-year-old twins. And now I may be biased, but my boy/girl twins are exceptionally cute. Weirdly though, they don't even look related. My son in particular got a lot of attention due to his strawberry blonde hair and giant blue eyes. So I head out to Target with my twinsies, parking slightly far from the main entrance because I like to be close to where you can return the carts, and there weren't a ton of carts in this row. As I'm getting out, another couple who parked near me and I exchange smiles. Clearly their son is the same age as my kids. The dad is a bear of a man, huge with a beard for days and arms like tree trunks. Tree getting crunk. Watch the show Supernatural. I've watched a decent amount of Supernatural. I really like it. You know, it was because me and my friends, hey David, thank you for the one. Me and my friends were watching Smallville, and like, you know, from the same director, I believe, did Supernatural, and I just enjoy like the monster of the week. I think it's the one episode where he's like, who's gonna take care of my bugs? And me and my friend would always say that to each other. Like when we leave somewhere, like, who's gonna take care of my bugs? It's just so funny. And then Tony Todd was in an episode of Supernatural as well. Rest in peace. You think it's true about blues? It said that when they played, you would hear demons because selling us. You think it's true about blues? It said that when they played, you would hear demons because of selling a soul. Like for that character from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Or just in general? Hey, Beha, no worries. Good to see ya. Glad you can get some rest. The dad is a bear of a man, huge with a beard for days and arms like tree trunks. And as I'm walking around Target, looking at all the things we don't need, I vaguely notice two couples who seem to be in a lot of the same areas as me. They aren't speaking English, and if I had to guess, I'd say probably Russian, but I couldn't really tell. Now fast forward, I get in line behind one of the couples. My daughter is in the seat part of the cart, and my son is in the wide open part. And out of nowhere, the woman from the couple behind me is all up in my cart and personal space. Meanwhile, the couple in front of me, after paying, doesn't move out of the way. Weird. Move over, guys. What are you doing? And then, the woman behind me leans completely over my cart, placing herself between me and my son. And I have no idea what she's doing, still. It seems like her main objective is to block my eye line from him. I have my hands on my daughter, but I can't even see my son. She's a big lady and she is way too close to my kids. She is leaning so far over my cart that her body is practically resting on both sides of it. Again, I can't even see my child anymore, who up until 2 minutes ago was less than 10 inches away from me. I asked her to back up when she started inching closer, but she just responded in her native language. I gestured to show her what I meant, and I repeatedly asked her to please move, excuse me, etc. And it was obvious that I was trying to get her away from my children. Even if you don't speak the same language, it's pretty damn clear what I was trying to imply, and she just blatantly ignores me. I'm trying to lean around her to grab my son and throw him onto the conveyor belt just to get him away from this couple. Seriously, what are they trying to do here? And she refuses to move, and I can't get to my son, and this starts to go on for several minutes. We're not even checked out yet because I have items in my cart that I can't reach. I'm also blocked in one of the other side. Mon, I still have the bump on my hands where they were. My son was born in this position, tied off. What are you talking about? Look forward to these vids. I work full-time and a part-time to get at it. At this time, it's honestly my highlight. Thanks, Bob. Good to see you. Bobbert. Favorite episode of Black Mirror? Oh man, I think I only saw the first season, to be honest with you. I'm trying to remember. I still remember the guy from Get Out was in an episode where they were like biking to create energy and stuff. And that was when I realized that him as an actor is like, he doesn't really have any range whatsoever. He's just sort of like a stoic, emotionless person, or he is just like has like emotion, you know, like really explosive emotion, so it's only like bipolar ends of the spectrum kind of thing. You subscribe to my Patreon. Thank you, Lori. Appreciate you. Very kind. Twilight Zones and the opinions. It's the best, man. That's what started it all. Yeah, Love, Death, and Robots is amazing. It's really honestly like, out of all the shows that I like get excited to watch when it comes out, like right when it comes out, is Love, Death, and Robots. It's all the seasons have just been, you know, it's not like every story is phenomenal, but I just love different animation styles, and I love the just little snippets of interesting concepts that they can come up with. I still like have goosebumps thinking about that whenever those people get lost in space while being in cryostasis and they find themselves stuck in like this huge sort of space spider amidst the asteroids that the space spider is like gathered, but the space spider like is able to, while they're in their web, is able to basically feed them kind of a heaven-like narrative in their mind, like through hallucinations, as the spider like slowly over time like digests them. And the one guy like was like begging, you know what I mean, to like begging to like be shown reality, and then it sees it showing like the space spider, and it was weird. It was like, I think the creepiest part about it was just the concept that that it seemed like this like predatorial spider that was like slowly digesting them as they like were in the nest and whatnot, felt that it was actually a good thing what it was doing to the people, you know, by showing them a false reality of hallucinations in their mind and letting them kind of die in that sort of sense of peace. And it's weird because it actually puts you in like a mindset of like, maybe that would be the best way to go out if you did go like, yeah, it's like a space spider, but you don't really, I'm sorry for spoiling it. I like hardcore spoiled that one because that's like part of the reason it rocks, is like just like being like, what the fuck, you know? But it's something you only see briefly, and I think that what makes it even more creepy is that the person that he's communicating with the majority of the time is like a psychical representation of someone he was in love with in the past or something, but then he actually sees who he is talking to, which is his natural predator. I don't know, it's just such an interesting concept. Oh my god, and then the one episode where there was like, they were trying to get, I don't know, the way they can just establish a world, like they can, some of the stories are so good at like world building within such a short period of time. Like the one was they, on the you know, they're out on the sea, and there's these huge like whale type creatures that they're trying to get like the oil from or whatever, the fat and all that kind of stuff. And then there's these giant fucking crabs that completely takes over the ship and is just like ripping people to pieces. And then in the midst of it like battling, it like takes over and goes down into the bottom of the ship. And then I don't know, that one's so good, man. Man, what you eating? I got some goose pepper mozzarella and I'm about to put on the cauliflower pizza. That does sound good, man. Cauliflower pizza, damn. Have they gotten better at making those? Because honestly, wouldn't. Spoilers aren't bad if the whole story is good. Yeah, I'm sorry, actually. I'm one of those people who like cannot control. I mean, especially in this context where I just assume everyone's seen it since it's been out for so long. Damn, yeah, I won't spoil any more episodes, but Love, Death, and Robots is definitely like really, really good. I'm also blocked in on the other side by the other couple who are standing completely on top of me. At this point, I am full on yelling at the woman to get the F away from my kid. And finally, I grab my cart and smash it as hard as I can into her, and she starts yelling at me. and backs up just enough for me to grab my son, who is now hysterical. Excuse me. Crystal P, thank you for the buckaroonie. Coconut crab. Your whole job is getting series spoiled, yeah. I'm sorry. It was a horrible Jamaican accent. No, it wasn't. It wasn't even Jamaican, it was Caribbean. Finally, I grab my cart and smash it as hard as I can into her, and she starts yelling at me in... Devoid, welcome to the Buttersuck Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Thank you, thank you.
She starts yelling at me in a language I couldn't understand. It backs up just enough for me to grab my son, who's now hysterical. The 16-year-old cashier was useless, even though I was screaming at her to call security the entire time. Then the bear from earlier sees everything happening and rushes over with his family. He shoves...
I'm not doing it justice. It's weird. It has a certain pacing to it that I know that I can hit, but it's not right. I have to like hear him talk.
You wouldn't believe all of the crap that I'd seen earlier, man. It blew my mind.
That's so bad, actually. Jesus Christ. The Adam Sandler in the Space of the Giants. Adam's Sandler in Space with a Giant Spider. Have you seen that? Wait, where's that one?
Just pissed my pants.
Finally, god damn it. Finally, I grab my cart and smash it as hard as I can into her, and she starts yelling at me, and backs up just enough for me to grab my son, who is now hysterical. The 16-year-old cashier was useless, even though I was screaming at her to call security the entire time. Then the bear from earlier sees everything happening and rushes over with his family. He shoves the other couple away from me, and we ditch all my attempted purchases. He escorts me and my twins back to our cars safely, and he and his wife even follow me for a bit onto the highway just to make sure that we weren't being followed. So to the tourists at Target who attempted to... I don't even know what you were attempting. You raised all my mama bear red flags, and you're lucky I didn't smash my keys into your face, because that was my next move, coming at you.
I can't believe that. That's actually terrifying.
No, yeah. Alright.
Oh, there it is. Jesus Christ. Oh, yeah, I forgot that it's further back in the back of the throat. The throat is where most of his voice hides, back here. So whenever he's eating chips or pasta, sometimes it gets a little spicy if he adds too much mayonnaise. Unbelievable. I can't believe what...
oh my god. Like, I swear to God, you know how sometimes you do a voice, you can just absolutely feel it? I'm not feeling it right now. That's not hitting. This doesn't feel... I need to, like, hear him. There's this one guy's like,
the jowls of a jaguar. Blew my mind when I saw the jowls of a jaguar.
Here, we gotta find RFK's voice now. I'm gonna ruminate on this. Well, I don't want to hear about his disease. I just want to hear his silly voice.
Well, in 1995, you developed spasmodic dysphonia.
Yeah.
Which is why your voice sounds
Sorry,
the way it
guys.
does right now.
I'm not trying to be mean. It's
You
just
had an
funny as
operation
shit.
for this at one point, right?
I went about, I don't know, about a year ago.
I went about, I don't know, maybe about a year ago.
Went to, not even a year, I'd say 7 months ago. I went
7
to
months, maybe
Kyoto,
Japan, have sex with Japanese women. They're very submissive, and they do whatever you ask them to. I went there with Hassan Piker. Me and him and some other fake liberals basically got our cock sucked all fucking weekend while we wore fake glasses, prescription glasses.
Okay, anyways. Let's get back to work, guys. Get focused. He talks and farts. That'd be really fun. This whole Instagram is him catching random animals. I did see that. Yeah, him catching bugs. Wait, you're telling me that Papa Meat did a RFK animation? I hope so, man. It's like his voice whenever he speaks is like, it's kind of like he's skipping a stone. It's like skipping a stone into the distance, and every time the stone hits, it's like
another part of the syllable comes out.
I'd get booed, yeah. Thankfully I've never done like a open mic. Well, I've done some like stand-up comedy on like a college campus before, but it was mainly just to practice and whatever, and it was not good. It was bad. It was mainly just like ideas, and like it takes a lot of like effort to like memorize all of your comedy, you know what I mean, and like deliver it where it doesn't sound like fake and cringe, you know what I mean? Yeah, it is like your voice it's like glitchy on Discord or something.
The reception in here is really bad.
Stand-up seems like it'd be really difficult. Yeah, there's like, I mean, even like Shane Gillis, who's like one of the more popular dudes right now. I mean, he says he was doing it for, I mean, he's young for like a stand-up comedian or whatever, and I think obviously a lot of like stand-up comedian success now comes down to, you know, the podcasts and getting into those popular circles or whatever, but yeah, a lot of them, you know, they work for essentially no money for multiple decades. You wrote a joke for a comedian, he groaned. What was it? I want to hear it. Yeah, Shane Gillis is from Pennsylvania too. Isn't that neat? Pennsylvania, baby. Is my throat hurting? I feel good. So this happened just last week. I live alone in a small college town, although I'm not a student or a faculty member. My apartment is in a duplex on a residential street just a few blocks from campus, which most of the students have left for their winter break. Things get very quiet when they're not around. Late Wednesday night, I woke up to a disturbing sound outside. It was someone crying, but not in a normal way. This was more like delirious wailing. The person didn't sound grief-stricken or panicked, and there were no cries for help. Otherwise, I'd probably have gone outside cautiously to check things out. And this sounded more like someone doing an impression of a ghost, but being a little too convincing. A sort of woo, ah, over and over. Not a pleasant way to wake up, I'll be honest. I got up and looked out the window but didn't see anyone, and I couldn't tell where the sound was coming from. After a few minutes, the wailing grew distant and things got quiet. I went back to sleep, a little unsettled. Thursday night rolled around and I went to bed as usual, wondering if I'd hear anything again. And sure enough, I was awakened a few hours later, but this time the sound was completely different. At first I wondered if there had been a heavy snowfall because I heard what sounded like the edge of a shovel scraping the sidewalk. It was very rhythmic. 2 plodding footsteps followed by a long and drawn-out scraping. Thud, thud, scrape, thud, thud, scrape. I got up and looked out the window, where I saw no snow but a dense fog and a woman across the street. It took me a minute to tell if she was wearing some to tell if she was wearing... Oh, okay.
I wrote a pot roast recipe for a VTuber. They asked me to stop.
A pot roast? Do you like Matt Rife interacts with the people? Yeah, I don't know. Has Matt Rife maintained his popularity since his purging of his TikTok audience and whatnot? You had to kill a spider for your husband. That's awesome. It's like the size of the doorway. You had to like fight it with a sword and shield. I'm laying here thinking he's about to tell a story. The man's like,
Her matey. And then he made me walk the poop deck. But we found gold heading due north.
It took me a minute to tell if she was wearing some strange hat, but then I realized that the hat was her hair. It was long, down to her waist, and completely filthy and matted, bunched up into a single mass that looked like a gigantic glistening hairball. The woman was standing with her shoulders hunched forward and her arms crossed behind her back like a figure skater or dancer. And she was doing an unusual sort of dance, where she would take 2 heavy stomps and then glide as if though she were on ice skates. But there was no ice. I couldn't tell how she was gliding so gracefully and effortlessly across the pavement. It was almost hypnotic to watch because she appeared to be elderly and frail. But she could spin, glide, and maintain balance on a level that would be hard for me to keep up with. And each time she would glide, I'd hear the scrape sound of her shoe against the pavement. There was no additional steps to the dance, just the rhythmic stomp, stomp, glide, headed in one direction before twirling around and doing the same steps in the other. After a few minutes, she stopped and then stooped down like a runner at the starting line, dramatically leaning forward with her fingertips lightly touching the ground. She stayed that way for a good minute or two, and it was a very unsettling thing to see in the shadows and fog. Then she slowly stood up, turned facing away from me, and got up on her very tiptoes with her long, skinny arms outstretched. Then she broke into a rapid tiptoeing motion that professional ballerinas do. In my mind, I heard that classic cartoon sound effect that plays when a character scampers away. And without a sound, she danced into the fog, and I haven't seen or heard anything from her since. In Pennsylvania, water fluoridates you. I did see that some places were getting rid of their fluoride in the water. Bro, you gotta do some conspiracy theories like the last chat. There's so many to do. I know, man. I'm a little bit worried how late the chat and stuff's gonna go. Because we can go down some crazy rabbit holes. I didn't know there was a serial killer in the town next to me until one of your episodes. Really? Wonder who it was.
Serial killer.
Wait, Wee Man does stand-up comedy now? I feel like he would like be oddly funny for some reason. I mean, he always seemed pretty chill. On Jackass. Hey, no frowns. What's up, dude? What's up, broski? You fell asleep before I started. Your brain has become conditioned. Alright, poll is done. If you guys can think of another poll, let me know. It looks like we got 63% Goral, 36% Boyo. Some guy that kidnapped my girl and moved across the country several times. What the fuck? Wait, he actually kidnapped your girlfriend? Or like your daughter? That's the point of serial killers. You don't know that they're there until it's true. Did I say broski? It was a gender neutral broski, don't worry. It's the one, it's like when two chicks dap each other up and go, "What's up, dog? What's up, bro?" I know they do that. This happened approximately 10 years ago, around 2015 to 2016. I was living with someone at the time who worked an opposite schedule as me. He worked graveyard shift and I worked during the day, so when I was getting up and getting ready to leave for work, he was just coming home. On the nights during the week, I obviously would be at home by myself, and one night during the week I was feeling especially lonely and my favorite toy unfortunately broke and died, so I decided to drive downtown to the 24-hour adult store to buy another one. The town I live in is a mid-sized suburban town filled with mostly residential areas. The main downtown area was essentially one small area on the way to the freeway, and my apartment was 10 minutes away. I pulled into the parking lot behind the adult store. The parking lot was dark and had multiple entries all around that led to the bars and restaurants as well as the store. After parking my car, I walked towards the entrance of the store, which was on the street, and to do so, I had to walk towards the driveway that I came in to park. And upon walking to the entrance, I noticed a man standing by himself smoking a cigarette. It was 1 a.m. and not normal to just see only one person standing by themselves there, though I figured he was one of the patrons from one of the bars on the block taking a cigarette break. And as I walked passing him, he says, "Hi," to which I responded with a very quiet hi, but didn't make eye contact with him. And upon passing him, I had a better look at his appearance. He had a shaved head, wore a long white t-shirt with shorts hanging past his knees, and he had a pair of sneakers accompanied by Bleth. Oh, you call everyone broski? Hell yeah, dude. I don't know what the origins of broski are. I think it's Canadian. I'm fairly certain it's like a Canadian, like, yo, broski. Like you hear it in Toronto and, you know, just the other rural areas of Canada. Oh, babes, are you Canadian? Canadian? Vancouver. During the Super Bowl, my buddy got pizza with pineapple on it, and it was pretty good, honestly. I'm Canadian? No. Almost Canadian. Nice. Are there any true crime channels you recommend? Well, there's one that popped up today that, well, someone said that they write for it or had written for it in the past. It's called Scary Interesting, and it had like really good editing, I think, and I kind of really want to like start a channel like it where I do like weekly uploads with just like someone that can just edit pretty much just like that, and we can find someone to write scripts that are interesting and shit, and just, I don't know, I just feel like I'm really missing out on creating content within that realm. Like, obviously I have it at the end of videos sometimes, but it's just something that you wouldn't really know about, I guess, you know? Or, you know, I really should just take the stuff from the channel and, yeah, I think maybe we'll do that. Boop 639 says something for the suggestion box. One stream a week/month, just diving into conspiracies and play games, typically Joe Rogan shenanigans. Yeah, that doesn't sound bad, honestly, throwing that into a gaming stream for sure. Yeah, we'll do some straight Joe Rogan deep dives. That's kind of weird though. It's strange to think sometimes that like I don't know, like Joe Rogan has had so many guests, right? So many guests from so many like realms of conspiracy stuff, and it never really seems like there are certain conspiracies that maybe Joe Rogan just like never touches on, if that makes sense. Or like I don't know if his guests are like curated by someone else or who does that organizing or what, but it never really seems like there's ever like hyper conspiracies, you know, where someone controls both sides type concept, you know, because wouldn't that make the most sense? Like if you were worth even an ounce of your own bullshit, you would want to control both ends of the spectrum and its conversations, would you not? I don't know. I'm just surprised they never like dig into that on Joe Rogan. Or like maybe they do have somebody that does that. I don't fucking know. Do I like Mr. Nightmare's channel? Yeah, Mr. Nightmare's great. Big inspiration for me to go down the true scary story route. Broken Nut Crab, that's good. Rogan has had both sides of the political spectrum, but call him far right. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's stupid because like anybody that is right, it's always labeled as far right. Like there's never a conservative that people on the left don't always call far right, you know? It's like, it's always kind of a dishonest conversation there or whatever. But I mean, Joe Rogan was like pretty liberal for a while. He didn't like Trump, and then there was like sort of a transition in his mindset over time to being into that. But I don't know. I'm just still very much inclined to the perspective that like the two-party system is just there to distract us from greater thing, you know, scarier, greater things. Hey Jade, long time no see, what's good? Do I like Jesse Michaels? His pods are nothing but conspiracy deep dives. Let me see. I may have seen them. Sometimes you get so much shit that comes up. Jesse Mike ILs. Wait, yeah, I think I've seen Jesse Michaels on somebody else's podcast who had that like Richard Greer or whatever, the Richard Greer UFO dude. Who is that who am I saying the right guy? Richard Greer? No, something Greer. I forget. Am I saying it right? UFO guy, Greer. Stephen Greer. Yeah, the doctor. Like, he's an interesting character. I've listened to a lot of his stuff. He's really, like, sometimes I really do wonder if, like, some of these people are, like, just straight up schizophrenic. You know what I mean? But their stream of consciousness is just so incredibly good that they can just go and go and go, and it's almost like their brains have tapped into the dream side of their brain, where anything that comes at them in real time, it can be responded with like a stream of consciousness that's just seamless. But I don't know, there's something about the Stephen Greer guy that I find interesting. Like, he talks about interesting UFO like secret bullshit, but I feel like if you exist within a realm for popularity, for money making for too long, eventually you kind of like trick your brain into almost always needing to appear correct all the time. You know, you can never really concede that what you're saying is kind of full of shit at some point, because it would dig into your money. But you should do a podcast, bro, and have conspiracy schizos so someone would listen. You know, that would be interesting, like just asking them questions and stuff. Even if I didn't necessarily totally agree with everything they'd said, I'd love to give them just like to hear where their brain goes with stuff. And yeah. Also, the Stephen Greer guy is mildly argumentative with like the people that he hosts, or people that host him, which I guess after that many years, maybe you get annoyed with people interrupting you when you just want to disclose the truth. I'm nervous about taking my TEAS exam for nursing. TEAS exam? Is that a nursing exam in another country? Because in the United States it's NCLEX. What's TEAS exam? You want to do a podcast? What would our podcast be? You're schizophrenic, you want to come on? What would we talk about? All the spooky shadows you've seen today? But I think that's the hardest part whenever you're trying to get to truth, is like to divide one person's brain from like, or an individual's brain from like identifying with a left or right, you know? Because at the end of the day, I mean, the truth is just the truth. And, you know, who knows, maybe the truth has like many, many layers. There could be multiple truths all occurring at one time. React to Peggy by Chechnya. What kind of music is it? I'll consider it if it sounds like cool music. Moist Critical. What about Moist? What if you're just not smart enough to discover the truth? I mean, that's me, dude. I think being able to recognize the fallibility of your particular identity in the concept of, especially of like politics, and understanding that most of it's just like distractionary entertainment and that you may never actually understand any of it, and the ability to kind of like let it go and in some ways appreciate your own ignorance to reality. I think that is the beginning of wisdom in some fashions, you know, and I think it's totally fine to just like lean into life of just like, who knows? Who knows? I guess we'll never know. Wisdom is bliss. Or yeah, maybe, yeah, wisdom is ignorance and ignorance is bliss. Yeah, I don't know. Dude, there was a military base in the hills by my house, and they had, or most likely still has, the Minutemen nuclear weapons. What is that? Minutemen nuclear weapons? Like where you respond very quickly or something? Or is it just like buried in silos? Can't wait for Neuralink experience multiple truths at the same time. Dude, yeah, no matter what they tell you, do not take any sort of experimental bullshit that comes out of DARPA. It's just all gonna be crap. And it's all just to turn you into a zombie. Dude, that's one of the scary things is like, what if there's already something out there that can just be, like, what if the actual zombie virus that we're all talk about sometimes isn't necessarily spread through bites or whatever, but just like activated through frequencies? That'd be kind of fascinating. All right, he had a pair of sneakers on. God damn it, where even am I? It's in GLP-1. Oh my god, that's crazy. Dude, yeah, avoid the GLP-1 shit. I don't know what the fuck that is. What's the dumbest conspiracy theory? Oh, I don't know. I mean, because like every, like, you know what I mean? Like every side, every political position and perspective all have some degree of political or, you know, conspiratorial musings, you know, that go through their mind to try and like better compartmentalize reality. I should play Roblox. Why are people afraid of the ocean? I guess nobody likes to be wet, you know what I mean? Just like completely soaking wet all the time. Yuck. You're gonna get chilly. He had a pair of sneakers accompanied with some tube socks that were covered in oh my god. His head was shaved were a long way to... Okay, yeah. Man, I am checked out on these stories right now. MAGA is more fueled by conspiracies than left. Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, like, the conservative perspective is much more geared towards like distrusting of like government apparatus or whatever it might be. Even though in a weird way I would say the left also has that, but that's the thing, is that because we've become so conditioned to like despising the other, it's this sort of like strange pendulum swing where we like still are all like somehow convinced that if we give our side more power that it won't be used in some nefarious way against us eventually, you know what I mean? Like the side that bans free speech, like, okay, great, the people you oppose is not able to talk now, but then it's just a matter of time before it's used on you, you know? Yeah, that's one of the more interesting things, is to see people on the left who actually were very anti-establishment in any ways kind of like take on that I guess adherence to those establishment groups, you know, whether it be governmental powers or the media or like social media, and just kind of like agreeing with it and going along with it because it helped get one up on whatever. I don't know. Just odd. And I don't think you should really allow people to kind of trick you into praising positions of power just because you feel like you own the chuds or whatever the fuck goes through their head. Oh wait, my internet's going bad? Did I watch the Slushy Noobs boxing match? No, what's that? My internet's trash? Fuck, dude. It says stream quality is good. Are we back, baby? It didn't even tell me that it was... How am I supposed to fight back? I gotta yell at him. Glowy tactics. I mean, whatever. Like, it's just dumb. It's just dumb. All of it's so dumb. Like, we gotta just let go of it, man. Left, right, it's all dumb. It's not like you get to participate in it. It's not like, you know, if you love Donald Trump that he's going to invite you to the White House to suck his toes, and if you love Kamala Harris, it's not like she's going to invite you out to drink wine with her. Like, they don't care about you, man. They can't care about you. There's literally not a single ounce of like benefit to be gained by adhering to any of it. 2 YouTubers boxed each other on a live stream and it was freaking epic. That's cool. I think every YouTuber should, if you join YouTube at 100,000 subscribers, YouTube should just automatically force you to fight to the, not to the death, but just like fight in general. If you get 100,000 subscribers, you will be automatically entered and conscripted into their large fighting tournament where they pit all of their most talented creators. Can you bag me? You're gonna put a bag on my head? Please don't do that. It's making me do the RFK accent. They're shooting 5G at the stream. Is it still bad? Honest question. It's not bad. It's good now. What's the over-under on Letchery versus Nightmare boxing match? Can't we just kiss? And whoever backs out of the kiss first loses. They're lying to you. The audio is fine. I'm the only one you can trust here. Okay, I trust you, Jade. Alright, we Gucci. What do I do outside of YouTube? Just lift weights and hang out with friends and go outside and hike in the woods, set up traps for women, catch them in little nets and take them back to my soundproofed basement. Alright, we're good? All right, let's go. He had a shaved head, wore a long white t-shirt with shorts hanging past his knees, and he had a pair of sneakers accompanied with some tube socks that covered his shins. This is not unusual to see in my town, but I was more concerned that he was sitting by himself and instantly took an interest in me as I walked past him. After passing him and continuing to walk to the store, I saw out of the corner of my eye the man proceeding to follow behind me. When I say follow, I don't mean he coincidentally was walking behind me. He immediately followed right behind me as soon as I passed him, making a point to maintain the same walking speed. I did not know this man's intentions, but a man by himself that late at night is a recipe for trouble. And as I looked down the dark and empty street, I weighed out my options of where to go. Initially, I thought, keep walking so he doesn't know that you're going to the adult store. But since it was 1 a.m. and there was no one on the street, I thought that to be probably more dangerous. Then I thought, just go in one of the bars. But then I thought that that would give him an easier introduction to approach me. So then I realized my best bet was to continue into the store where I knew it was well lit and people could see me. I proceeded to shop for what I came there for, and the man entered the store behind me, but hung out at the front of the store so as not to look like he was following me around. He wasn't even pretending to shop. He literally just sat at the front, waiting. And as I was shopping, I heard the man make sort of a s sound, to which I ignored. And he wasn't getting the message, and he continued to make this S sound as I continued to shop without noticing. And eventually I walked up to the cashier, who was completely oblivious to what was going on, and I tried to whisper to the cashier, "Do you know what that man, or does he work here?" The cashier asked me to repeat what I was saying, and asked again, but still spoke in a quiet voice. Not understanding my attempt to be discreet, the cashier responded, "I can't hear you, say it again." At this point I felt like my cover was blown, so in a more normal tone I told the cashier the man in front followed me from outside and won't leave me alone, and I explained my car was parked in Noel Villalpando. Thank you, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. Am I dating Ash Trevina? Who's that? Can you breathe and kiss at the same time, or would you suffocate? I remember there was an episode of The Simpsons where two French people were making out on a park bench, and then they both threw up at the same time and were just like throwing, or shooting vomit back and forth between each other's mouths. And so, based on that science, I would say you could probably breathe while kissing, but you also aren't really transferring oxygen back and forth to one another as much as you are transferring CO2. So there's probably a likely chance that someone at some point would pass out. So I would just be careful with that. Do I believe capitalism needs to be replaced? No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously you have like really negative outcomes where the government and industry sort of integrates itself together in many, many terrifying ways. War, I guess war is one of the biggest ones, but I'm very apprehensive to any sort of like communist vernacular, I guess, especially the ones that say that communism hasn't been tried appropriately, because if you look back through like the Bolshevik Revolution, China, Pol Pot in Cambodia, like it all kind of came from like bloody, disgusting, like civil war, revolution. Like it's all, it's basically just political movements that destabilize the current system to therein even worse people taking over, which just leads to like, hundreds of millions of people being starved by like price controls on food, or the limitation of delivery of food to certain areas, literal genocides. You know what I mean? You look back through the history of communism and this idea of maybe using Karl Marx, I guess, as like the primary theory. It's like it's clear that what you can really boil it down to is just like a complete totalitarian, and maybe not even a totalitarian, but like authoritarian perspective and takeover of government that usually just results in you dying or starving to death. Hundreds of millions of people, throughout the past century. So if people are really into communism, like genuinely think that maybe they can make it work, I would say just go start a commune out in like, 30 minutes outside of Portland or something like that. Like go join a cult, go join a cult. That's essentially communistic, and you kind of have like a little village going there. And I think on that like micro scale, you might be able to get something that's like makes you happy. But beyond that, if you give too much power into the hands of the government, especially through like quote unquote bloody revolution, you're gonna die. Like you're gonna die, and all your friends are gonna die, and you're not just gonna die like peacefully. You're in your sleep or something, surrounded by your family, like you probably will here. You're gonna people are gonna come to your house and shoot you whenever you say something bad. And then like say your family is killed, and then at that point nobody in the community is going to want to talk to you either, because they're afraid of you know, upsetting the party or whatever. You know, it's scary, man. No thanks. And go join Planet Fitness and do that for 1 year. Get your squat up to like 185, and then tell me how you feel. I explained my car was parked in the lot behind the store and I didn't feel comfortable going to my car, and the cashier said okay. The cash wrap area was an enclosed square-shaped counter to maintain distance between the staff and the customers. The cashier walked to the front by where the man was, and from behind the counter told the man to leave. He then came up and reassured me that he told the man to go away, though the man did not in fact go away. God. I swear to God, most of these authors just like fucking love to smell their own farts so bad. Like, just get to the fucking point, Christ's sake. Fix this grammar, but don't change the story. Do you notice an influx of people at the gym around New Year's time? Actually, this year it did not. It was pretty dead most of January. What's my IQ? Probably something like pretty average, to be honest with you. Like, I would say at highest my IQ is probably like 100, and if I were to actually take the test it'd be something like 49. And I mainly just because during the, like, sometimes when I take the IQ test, it's really hard for me not to eat my own poop out of my pants. Ask ChatGPT if ghosts are real. You don't have to ask him. I'll tell you right now, they are, baby. One's standing right behind you. The IQ test is designed to data mine, don't do it. Yeah, because then what if they come and grab you and want you to go work on a project? And now you're stuck there making a big old fucking bomb for Japan. Who created ChatGPT was, yeah, OpenAI. I mean, Elon Musk heavily invested into OpenAI. I don't know if Peter Thiel was part of that as well. I mean, I guess we could just ask it, but... Though the man did not, in fact, go away, he continued to stay there. Given that I didn't want him to follow me to my... I got having a stroke. DeepSeek is better. Yeah, I haven't used it, and I don't know. I don't really see the need. Because at the end of the day, all I do is just like ask it stupid questions and like have it fix grammar. And sometimes I'll have it make like a pie chart. And mainly just to ask it like, what if you were to split up a banana berry pie, how would you split it up? ChatGPT 5 supposedly coming out in May or June. That's cool. I wonder what it will do differently. It's art. Like, it's whatever it is that does the art for it still fucking sucks. Or it's like definitely not as good as like Mid-Journey and stuff. DeepSeek is a literal Chinese spy app. Yeah, but I mean, so is ChatGPT. Eventually you just have to be like comfortable with knowing that someone is spying on you. Every keystroke, every fucking back-end entrance to your fucking Microsoft penis. Given that I didn't want him to follow me to my car, I stayed in the store and pretended that I was still shopping, even though I had already found what I came for. I would occasionally glance at the front to see if the man was still there, and he was. And I kept going up to the cashier explaining that the man hadn't left, so He went back up to the front to talk to him. I heard the cashier say, "All right, enough already, leave the store." And while he was doing this, I went to the far back end of the store to remain out of sight. And by the time I circled back to the cashier, I noticed the man was no longer there. The cashier said that he repeatedly... Oh, okay, my bad. You can run DeepSeek locally, it proved it doesn't spy on you monitoring IP address. Oh, like... That's interesting. You can run it locally so it doesn't have to go somewhere to grab information. Hey, LaFox, what's up? I should sleep. Yeah, I will here soon. How many more stories we got? I don't even know. I started so late, dude. I started at fucking straight up midnight. I don't know what's wrong with me. Oh well. Oh well. Time is made up. But I do want to wake up early. The cash. The cashier said that he repeatedly and more assertively told the man to leave. He said the man claimed that he didn't understand English, and the cashier then said he pulled a baton that he kept under the counter for protection and held it over his... Oops. Wait. The cashier then said he pulled a baton... Would you rather have someone bake you brownies or a loaf of banana bread? Probably banana bread, honestly. I mean, brownies are so hit or miss for me. I feel like people make banana bread and it's really, really good, usually, if it's not dry bullshit. Sorry, not to be rude, but brownies are tough because so many people make it and it's so consistently dry that it almost just like makes me mad when I see brownies. But if you make it right, it's freaking awesome. Okay, the cashier then pulled a baton. Okay, that's what it's doing. The cashier then pulled a baton that he kept under the counter for protection and held it over his head and asked the man, "Do you understand this?" To which the man finally left the store. I made my purchase but was still worried about walking to my car even though I was parked in one of the first spaces near the driveway entrance. The cashier pointed at a small TV behind him that had 4 angles of CCTV footage, and he assured me that the man was gone and told me to come back into the store if I saw him again. He also said he would watch as I walked out. He also said he would watch as I walked to my car. And even though I would have felt more comfortable if he had walked me to my car, I understood that he was by himself and couldn't leave the store unattended. My God. Why doesn't she just learn karate? What's up, Skrilla? Like, everybody just expects to be, like, protected all the time. You know what would help? Learning fucking karate. Then if that guy even got near you, tried to brush your face or whatever, you could, like, in karate they teach you that you can karate chop their neck and their head will snap off. What about cinnamon rolls? Hell yeah, dude, I had those the other night. They were some organic vegan bullshit, but they were good. They were a little burnt, to be honest, but they still were good. Even though I would have felt more comfortable if he had walked me to my car, I understood that he was by himself and couldn't leave the store unattended with customers. And after making my purchase, I sped walk to my car, and I always have my keys ready when walking to my car, so I promptly pressed unlock on my car remote, got in, placed my bag of purchases on the passenger seat, and proceeded to start the car. And once my car turned on, I took off the emergency brake and put the car in reverse, and while putting on my seatbelt, I looked to my side view. Holy shit. Is she going to tell us what she... I don't even know how to make a joke out of this. Basically, I'm trying to say is she told us every little fucking detail about everything. I hope she tells us when she farts, too. Have you tried dates with peanut butter in them? Dude, yeah. That's funny you said that. Last stream I was talking about that, or 2 streams ago, I had dates with, like, almond butter, like, injected into them. And it's so funny, the pack that I got only had 3, but I was like, dude, this would be like the absolute perfect pre-workout little bullshit. And then the car radio turned on. And then I turned it to my favorite station. I listened to Katy Perry. She's dead now, but she was great back then. Once my car turned on, I took off the emergency brake, put the car in reverse, and while putting on my seatbelt, I looked in my side view mirror to back out. It was at this point that I saw that same man in the mirror, full-on speed walking right toward my driver's side door. You see, I was driving in a Accord at the time, and that model automatically locks the doors when you take the car out of park, and as soon as I saw him, I hit the gas and violently pulled out of the parking space. I pulled out so fast that it startled him, stopping him dead in his tracks, and he was now standing right next to my driver's side door as I continued to pull out. I gave him the most serious, dead stare I could because I know most predators feed off the fear of their victims, and the stare must have worked. Work-a-did. Oh my god. Did she fart? Dates with honey and almonds. Yeah, man. God, food's so good, man. I wish I could just eat whatever the fuck, whenever the fuck. I miss those days, man. But I have been walking for like 20 to 30 minutes after every workout with like this weighted vest. And it's so funny because like every time I do it, the weighted vest like makes me, like it'll be really hard, I'll be sweating for those 20 to 30 minutes. And then the next time I do it, I like don't sweat at all, and I have to like add 5 to 10 pounds on the weighted vest. And it's just weird how like your body adapts to that stupid shit. Who won the staring contest? I don't even know, dude. All these, that's the bad thing about some of these Reddit stories is like so many of them are just nonsense. Also, it's so funny, like somebody on my Patreon, I don't get a lot of comments on my Patreon, but this one person, they leave comments on like all of the content for the past like month, just commenting like multiple times every day, and I'm like, did they somehow like find the Patreon separate from the YouTube? I don't know. It's just interesting that there's someone that like only listens to it on there, like because that's one thing that I kind of wish Patreon did a better job of, is like creating an ecosystem of finding like other creators, which I think it kind of does, but if you subscribe to anybody on Patreon, it's, I don't know, you don't really hear about people finding you through other people. Can you just kick a guy in the groin to defend yourself? Does that not work in the movies? Yeah, I mean, I guess you could. It wouldn't feel good, and it'd make them probably want to throw up. Kelly C., welcome to the Butter Sock Cult. Thank you, thank you. But I do hate that in movies. It seems like they like hyper overuse the kick in the groin. It's like in any situation, like somebody says something and then the main, you know, Mary Sue girl always like kicks a dude in the groin. You're like, Jesus Christ. Stay away. That's my purse. I don't know you. It hurts that bad. Yeah, because it's like it's your testicles, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of nerves going through there. So as soon as they receive any sort of like blunt force trauma, the pain sort of like radiates up into your stomach, and you like actually feel like you're about to like vomit from. Even just like, you know, the whole like, you probably in school like people do the sack tap shit. God, I wanted to kill the people that did sack tap because I fucking hate those people. Because even just like a quick splittering of the testes is quite uncomfortable. What's the female equivalent of that? I guess like getting hit in the boob, because like a lot of girls say that, you know, obviously the breasts are quite sensitive and getting hit there is pretty painful. But I don't know if that would be equal pain or not. I guess you would just have to hit them in the face or something, probably. The nipple twist. Where am I even at with this dumbass story? Okay, here we go. I don't know you. The stare must have worked. As soon as he saw me pulling out while staring at him, he turned his head back toward the driveway entrance and proceeded to walk back to where he had been standing. He had a look of defeat on his face. My face, however, was overcome with relief. I pulled out of the parking lot and took myself back home. And I felt a bit ashamed for being out so late by myself, and I did tell my boyfriend about the incident when he came home at 6 a.m. He also agreed that going out that late alone wasn't the smartest decision, and I'm no longer with that person, but I still live in the same town, though I never leave my home for anything past 9 o'clock anymore. And while the town I live in isn't the most dangerous, there are still some... God, a lot of these stories tonight just suck fucking wieners, dude. Brienne Bree, welcome to the Buttersock Call. You now have access to bonus content. Thank you, thank you. While the town I live in isn't the most dangerous, there are still enough crimes that occur here that it's also not considered the safest. Damn. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough out here for a pimp these days. Getting good shit. Damn, we still got quite a bit to go, I feel like. When you see a man, you get scared and fascinated. Don't you see him in, like... Or you get, yeah, I don't know. Like college or something? Or work? Do you do work? Tell you a story. Alright, you're gonna love this one. You're gonna love my nuts. Actually, I don't think I need to fix the grammar on this one. This happened to me many years ago. I am 38 now, and I believe this took place when I was 14 or 15. My family, consisting of myself, my mother, and my brother, who is 6 years my junior, were in the process of moving down the road sometime in the near future and had been fixing the new place up so it was move-in ready for us. We had enlisted some help from some extended family, mainly my mother's cousin and her adult sons and their wives, to help paint our bedrooms. During one of these days of hard work, we collectively decided that we all wanted Slurpees from a nearby 7-Eleven store. And for those that don't know, a Slurpee is a frozen drink, usually soda flavors, dispensed from a machine with a handle that you push down or pull up on. And the cups from... Oh my god, we're getting a rundown on fucking Slurpees, let's go. Slurpees. Remember when Slap Chop actually used that edited music video someone made as their actual new ad? I thought it was pretty baller. That's awesome. I listen to the stories later. No worries, dude. Yeah, I'm just kind of in the creative process right now, bro. Just gonna have to give me time. Our podcast remind people to not have a bad trip when we all go down the hill on the roller coaster soon. Yeah. Yeah. The cups come with a clear dome lid and a long straw with a spoon on the end. And maybe it's just me, but the spoon is pretty useless. The best part is, since you get to prepare it yourself, you can mix any of the dozen or so flavors yourself in any order you'd like. So one of my older cousins and I decided to head out to get the drinks while the others continued to work in the house. The drive there and the preparing of the frozen beverages were both uneventful within themselves, but what I do remember is walking back outside and hearing a woman screaming something like, "Help me," to my left. I turned my head only to witness a middle-aged man wrestling the keys away from an older woman. She was maybe in her 60s. I froze and just watched the scene play out in front of me. The man did manage to snatch the keys away from the lady and hopped inside her car, backing it up and taking off with it. The problem was, the lady had somehow fallen and landed with her legs under the car, so when he backed up over her. The police were called, of course, and my cousin and I stayed to give our statements, and I managed to memorize the license plate to the stolen car, which came in handy when the lady was so in shock she couldn't remember it herself. I was always told growing up to get the plate number if there was ever an emergency involving a car, and so I did just that. I remember hearing later that the car was found about 30 miles or about 48 kilometers away from where it was stolen. I'm not sure what happened to the lady, the man, or the car, and since this was the early 2000s, I highly doubt that there would be any information online this long after. That 7-Eleven has since closed and become a few different businesses, the most current being a cell phone store, but anytime I venture past that place, I always think back to that event that I witnessed many years ago. Poggers. Brain freeze. Yeah, that lady must have had a brain freeze. Couldn't remember anything. Oh yeah, shit. Babes, thank you so much for the 5 gifters too. Roger Vu May, Mary Callan Weath, Samantha J, Ella Graham, and Angelica DS. Thank you so much. Which reminds me, you guys have been quite kind tonight. So in return, I'd like to service the with 10 more gifters. Ba-ba-bow. Been fasting, feel so much better. Gotta try it sometime. Yeah, it's great. It really is great. And if you have something else to do, it makes it a little bit easier to get through. Welcome, Vita Lucas, Sarah Senanawi, Alicia, King Thors, Jess W, Renee Cope, Darth Bane, Moon Lady, Cammy making Patricia Blue. Welcome, friends. You now have access to bonus content. We're matching gifters today. You accidentally fast all the time. Yeah, it's good for you, you know what I mean? Like, your body's really not supposed to be in such a fed state. I've also given up, and I'm doing my best, I've given up diet soda. Because I heard that, even though a lot of studies said it doesn't affect your insulin, all I needed was like one study to tell me that it causes atherosclerosis in mice when giving them the equivalent of 3 diet drinks a day. Because if it still gives you an insulin response, that still means that you're eventually becoming insulin resistant, even to like a smaller degree, and therefore you're not pulling that glucose out of your bloodstream, which is in turn turning your fucking vessels into rock hard calcium that can't pump anything in, is sticky and gross, and then you die. Type 1 diabetic. I did hear something about how they might recently have found a cure, not necessarily a cure, but it's like a transplant for type 1 diabetic. But what, yeah, isn't it like an autoimmune disorder or something that causes it in the first place, that your pancreas can't create insulin? Devoid, thank you for the gifter too. Valley Heart, thank you, Devoid. Even Dr. Pepper Zero, it's hard, man. I'm gonna have to just give it up. I'm gonna do kombucha. Because at least the one bad thing about like diet sodas as well, I've heard, is that it like fucks up your gut biome and your digestion, which I'm sure affects your metabolism as well, in conjunction with making you insulin resistant. So, you know, maybe kombucha, it still tastes good, and it's got a lot of good gut health bullshit, and it's not very high calorie or high carb, really, that much. So, fuck it, dude, let's go for it. Kombucha is loaded with sugar. The ones that I get aren't loaded with sugar. There's some you obviously can check the back, but the one that I get's like a fucking liter, and it only has, I think, like 36 grams of carbs in it, which is you know what I mean? Like, whereas a fucking liter of soda, which I wouldn't drink anyways, but that would have like hundreds of carbs. Become one with the machine. Bucha kava vinegar, Popey, all good. Nice. I had to go the seltzers route to get off the caffeine soda. Yeah, I mean, it makes me curious what flavors are in the seltzers as well, if it's like some sort of sugar substitute. Water? What the hell is water? I do drink water, though. Hell yeah. Organically sourced Mountain Dew. God dang it. Ricky Bobby. I'm all hopped up on Mountain Dew. Oh, shit, guys. We got 2 more stories, I think. Avoid sucralose, stevia, and aspartame. Go with monk fruit as a sugar substitute. Yeah, what happened with stevia? Everybody was circle jerking about that forever, and then now it's bad. I guess that's just how it goes. Sorry. What happened to parking lot? Cup comes clear, don't... All hopped up on Mountain Dew. Oh, shitskis. How long's the last one? Well. Alright, guys. You know what? I normally go take my magnesium on the last one, but maybe I should... Oh, what's up, Terry? Maybe I should take a quick break, and we have 2 left when I come back, so it's not as quick for you. Alright. BRB. It was doo-doo. I'm just gonna sleep till noon. Yeah, it's whatever, man. Honestly, sleep is more important than productivity, in my opinion. How was my poop? It was just a pee. Sometimes a pee... Sometimes a poop is a pee, but a pee is never always a poop. Yeah, you gotta take care of yourself. Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta let yourself go take a piss. New episode of Invincible drops in an hour? Really? At this time of night? It's gonna drop at 4 a.m. East Coast time? That seems weird. This story takes place in November of 2017, and I was 18. I'm a very short girl, only about 4'10", and I get anxious when someone even looks at me in a way that suggests they might not like me. So needless to say, I'm incredibly non-confrontational. My friend and I were out shopping. It was something we'd do maybe every few months just to bond since we didn't have much time to hang out due to college. And she's just like me, barely scraping 5'1" and very non-confrontational. It's probably why we became friends. On every shopping trip we would find ourselves in Ann Summers. We're both overly endowed and struggled to find bras anywhere, and Ann Summers always had great sales, so we grabbed the cheap bras while we could. This shopping trip wasn't any different. We browsed shops until we got to Ann Summers, but that's when things took a bit of a turn. I'd barely stepped foot into the shop when a woman with some sort of Slavic accent stopped me, and her finger jammed into my chest. "Spit the gum out," she demanded. Assuming that she was an employee, I gave a very sheepish, "I'm really sorry," and ran out of the shop to spit the gum out and throw it away. When I went back in, I realized that this woman was not an employee. She was a customer who was browsing and happened to be near the door when my friend and I entered the shop. It should have been obvious to me at the time. No salesperson would ever behave like that, not one that wanted to keep their job anyways. But I kept my head down when I walked past her, holding my breath in hopes that she wouldn't notice me again, and she didn't, and I thought I was in the clear. My friend and I browsed the shop, trying to avoid the woman, but the shop wasn't very big, probably only 15 feet by 18 feet, so eventually I ended up at the sales stand by the door where she had been stood. I tried to keep my distance while browsing. I was looking at the price tags but realized that I didn't know what the discount was, so I leaned over slightly to check the discount sign. It's important that I note that this woman had a pushchair, which is a stroller for the Americans, and you'd think that she'd maybe had a child in this pushchair. But no, it was full of plastic carrier bags. I didn't look too much at it, but I could tell that everything in there was double bagged and tied shut. Whatever was in those bags, she wanted to protect. And this sense of protection became very relevant because when I learnt? Why are bras so expensive? I don't know. They should just outlaw them, honestly. Play the finer game. Eat 100 grams and say goodbye to your beehole. What? Threatening me?
Are you threatening me?
Damn. I shouldn't have mentioned DARPA earlier. I feel like every time I talk about conspiracy shit, my numbers get boinked. This sense of protection became very relevant because when I leaned over to look at the discount sign, I was leaning slightly closer to her pushchair. I was still about 3 feet away from it, but apparently it was too close. The woman was on the other side of the chair, but the moment she saw me, she ran around to it where I was stood. She hits me in the face. It was somewhere between a slap and a punch, and I couldn't quite tell because I was in shock. All I knew is that it hurt. "Watch the personal space," she hissed in my ear, and I apologized to her. This woman just hit me and I apologized to her. I regret it now, but at the time I didn't want to provoke her any further, not that I knew what I did to provoke her in the first place. And in my shock, I turned around and ran to the back area, grabbing my friend's hand and pulling her with me. The back area was separated by a tiny wall that only stretched halfway across the shop since they stored. You see, what I was actually talking about was derpa. Derp. Law random. Derp. Meep. Meep. Derp. 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 Derpa. That'd be funny if there was like a Russian version of DARPA where they call it. They're like, "What are you talking about? That place is DARPA. They don't know what they're doing. They can't travel through time like we can." More like herpa. Everyone over there fucks each other and gives each other herpes. The back area was separated by a tiny wall that only stretched halfway across the shop since they stored the adult toys there and wanted to keep them out of sight of the general public. I stood there holding my friend's hand and shaking as I whispered, "She just hit me," to my friend, and we stood there for a good minute in silence, and my friend was positioned in a way that she could see the rest of the store while I hid behind the wall. "She's gone," my friend told me, and I let out a breath that I didn't even know that I was holding. "Can we stay here for a while?" I asked my friend, worried that the woman would be outside waiting for me. The front of the store was open, but she could have easily just been a couple of feet down the road and out of sight, waiting for me to leave. My friend agreed, and we slowly browsed the shop again. About 5 minutes later, we got to the counter to check out, and the girl working the counter looked outside and then back at us. That woman's been in here for 30 minutes. I didn't know what to do." She told the two of us, "What did she say to you?" "She told me to spit out my gum when we first came in, and then she hit me because I was too close to her." "She hit you?" The worker was wide-eyed. "If I'd have known that, I would have called security. I'm so sorry." I smiled and shrugged. "It's fine." It wasn't really fine, but it wasn't the worker's fault. She didn't look much older than I did, and I wouldn't have known what to do in that situation either. And still shaken up, my friend and I made our way out of the store. I looked around but didn't see the woman. "Can we just go home now?" I asked my friend. We hadn't finished browsing all the shops, but I was so paranoid that we bumped into that insane woman again. She agreed, and we got the bus home. And when I got home, my parents encouraged me to report the incident to the police, and I called the non-emergency line, and their answer was basically, "Well, what do you expect us to do about it?" And unless I went back to the Ann Summers and requested the security footage, which I wasn't sure if they actually had, they wouldn't do anything. And it's been just over 3 years, and now I'm sure that that woman probably had been homeless or from the planet Andor. Low-carb Snickers. There's a lot of them. Buy a Barbie. I want another baby, but to stay a baby and never grow up. Buy a Barbie doll to keep you company. I guess that's true, yeah, if you just want to be like one of the insane peoples that have like dolls as their babies into their adulthood. I honestly don't see that as like too bad of an outcome. It's been just over 3 years, and now I'm sure that the woman was likely to have been homeless and/or on drugs. It's the only explanation I can think of for the carrier bags and her protectiveness. It was either everything she owned, or drugs, or maybe both. So, Let's not meet again. I hate those. I hate those. I hate those. No. It's been just over 3 years, and now I'm sure that woman was likely to have been homeless and or on drugs. It's the only explanation I can think of for the carrier bags and her protectiveness. It was either everything she owned, or drugs, or maybe even both. Get a bunch of cats and carry them around, get hella strapped. Well, that's why I was like, if you have a bunch of cats in your house, what you can do is you can sew them together and then put like a big trench coat on them and like maybe a hat at the top, and then it's essentially like a boyfriend, pretty much. The baby's sleep schedule is partially formed in the womb. That's interesting. I have a crush on my favorite babe. I might send her a postcard. We live like 2 counties apart now. It sounds like a mild threat. Can we get 5 booms? Boom! 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 And boom! That means you owe me 5 gifted subscribers. It is a threat? Holy crap. Wait, what's your real name? Dodongo. What's your real name? You don't have to say that. I woke you up, I'm sorry. Back in July of 2018, myself and my 3 best friends decided to go on vacation to Barcelona. The 4 of us, all girls, were 18 at the time and had just finished our freshman year of college. For context, we had planned this trip for several months, but the lazy asses that we were took our... Fuck! I'm just gonna copy paste this to chat BBC and... Doink. Doink. Fix this grammar, but don't change the story. Oh boy. The microplastics in my brain made me sexually attracted to Optimus Prime. Well, have you bagged him yet? Imagine having sex with him, but then he transforms and just like rips your wiener off. Oh my god, that would totally suck. For context, we had planned this trip for several months, but being the lazy asses that we were, we took our time before booking our flights and Airbnb. We eventually started our search in May, and if you've ever been to Barcelona, you might know that's already pretty late if you want to find an affordable and well-located summer accommodation. We ended up scrolling through several websites for days as everything was way out of our budget. One of my friends finally found a very decent studio located near the Ramblas. Boom! 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 How do you say this place? The Ramblas. Anybody ever been to the Ramblas? Ramblas. Ramblas. Should I say it with a rolled up R? R. He rolls his R's. That'd be kind of funny. How do you know the pirates from Mexico? 'Cause he rolls his R's. There you go. Somebody write that down and tell that on stage. The nuclear kid needs a podcast or live stream while he's building his next doomsday device. Who are we talking about? I had a girlfriend once who punched me in the nutsack at full force. Very cringe. Cringe. Cringington. I mean, it can do permanent damage. I hope she's in jail. We ended up scrolling through several websites for days as everything was out of our budget. One of my friends finally found a very decent studio located near the Ramblas. God, I wish I could just like quickly roll my R. My R. Why does it hurt that bad for men but not for women? Well, it's just because we have testicles on the outside of our body. Women don't have those for the most part. At least from what I've heard. David Hahn in 1994. David Hahn, a 17-year-old Boy Scout, attempted to build a nuclear reactor in a shed at his mother's house. Oh, that's awesome. Ramblas. Ramblas. We ended up scrolling through several websites for days as everything was way out of our budget. One of my friends finally found a very decent studio located near the Ramblas, a very touristy neighborhood. The condo was actually located on a narrow street perpendicular to the main Rambla. You had to walk about 500 meters or 0.3 miles to reach the sketchier end of the street where the flat was. It didn't really bother us since the building was pretty secure. You had to open the first front door, which led to the street. Then you had to take the stairs to the second floor, where there was a second door requiring another key. The second door led to 3 condos, so we had a third and final key to our personal flat. And this door had no outside handle, meaning that if we left without our keys, we'd be locked out. Additionally, the balcony door also had no outside handle. You could only open it from the inside. This might seem like a lot of details, but it is important for what comes next. The day we checked in, we were pretty excited despite being utterly exhausted. We had been traveling for 15 hours at this point, so we decided to smoke a cigarette in the balcony. Ugh, dude. I feel like, for some reason, being 18, smoking cigarettes as a woman, it just sounds so gross. Anybody I don't know why. For some reason, I just assume, like, cigarette habits are something that's not formed when you're young. It's something that you just like turn 35 and you're like, yeah, all right, that's it. We're chain smoking. None of that makes any sense, but it's funny to think about. The day we checked in, we were pretty excited despite being utterly exhausted. We had been traveling for 15 hours at that point, so we decided to smoke a cigarette on the balcony. The balcony next to ours belonged to our next-door neighbors, a group of Italian boys that we met at that very moment. They had been pretty loud throughout our stay, but we never thought too much of it. As for the layout of our condo, the front door led directly into the main room where 2 of my friends were sleeping. The bed was on the left, and at the end of the room was the living room, which also functioned as a kitchen and a bedroom. The sofa was a foldable, where my third friend and I were sleeping. We were there for 5 nights, and as the young women that were there, our daily routine... Wait, what is it? As the young women... Oh, I see. We were there for 5 nights at Freddy's. Oh, that's true. Vapes is the thing now. Everyone knows that smoke started at 12 to 15. I guess that's fair too. I do remember having a friend in school who smoked cigarettes from like the time that he was a freshman till like senior year, and his fucking just voice was thoughts on women with tattoos. Oh, I don't care. I mean, as long as you really want it, you know. I personally have no tattoos besides my lower back one, but I'm just very indecisive in that regard. I just don't know if I could handle something for the rest of my life on my body. The tramp stamp? Yeah, it just says abandon all hope ye who enter here. Just like above my ass crack. What if she wanted to tattoo your name on her face? That's fine, like maybe on like the forehead or something. Just says Joel. And it has to have like a perfectly 1-to-1 scale representation of my YouTube avatar. As the young woman that they... Motherfucker. As the young woman that we were, our daily routine was pretty consistent. We would go clubbing every night, get home at around 4 a.m., pass out in our beds, and wake up at 11. We'd visit the city until 7 p.m., then get ready to repeat the cycle. Our first 3 nights were awesome. We had some male friends who were also staying in Barcelona, so we'd meet up with them and it was a lot of fun. But the 4th night was creepy. We got home at 4 a.m., messed around with each other for another hour, and fell asleep by 5. Around 7:30, my friend, who was sleeping with me in the living room and suffers from sleep paralysis, woke up feeling something tickling her ankle. She opened her eyes and saw something crouching at the end of the bed, his hand on her ankle, as if he were looking for something under the bed. At that moment, she was convinced that she was experiencing sleep paralysis again, but the fear made her sit up in bed and shout, "What the F?" which rarely happens with sleep paralysis, as obviously your muscles are usually numb. And her shouting woke me up, and I saw the guy. Standing at the end of the bed and still half asleep, I whispered, "Edward?" I think I had been dreaming about a friend of mine and confused this guy with him, and the guy got startled, suddenly stood up, stared at us, and then just tiptoed away, muttering, "Oops, oops, oops." He walked past the other bed where my friends were still dead asleep and exited through the front door. My friend and I stayed up for a long time talking about what had just happened, and eventually we woke the other girls and told them the story, and we never figured out how this guy broke into our flat. He didn't steal anything, even though we had left our credit cards, IDs, and phones and cash openly displayed on that table, and the only thing was that we didn't lock the front door that night. But it was closed, meaning that normally no one should have been able to open it since it has no handle, unless someone had a key. We chose not to talk to the police about it because we feared they'd blame us for not locking the door properly. We also didn't inform the landlord for the same reason, but also because we didn't want to ruin our last day there. We tried contacting our neighbors, those Italian guys, and went to their flat and knocked, but they never answered the door. And looking back, we definitely should have done something about it, and we shouldn't have just stayed there for... You want to give me money? How come? How much? Give me $1. No, don't do that, don't do that. Give me a quarter, so I can buy a gumball. From Spencer's. It won't let you donate? Huh. Wonder why. Looking back, we definitely should have done something about it, and we shouldn't have stayed there for another minute. But we were too young, I guess. We could never figure out what that guy wanted or what he was looking for touching her ankle like that. None of it made any sense. Why would someone enter an apartment uninvited at 7:30 a.m. while the occupants were asleep just to look for something under the bed? Well, I guess we'll never know. Oh yeah, we did it. We read all the Reddit stories. Holy shit. Holy shit, 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 shit. Holy shit. Holy shit, 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 shit. Noble Williams, thank you for the 2. Whoop whoop. Couple of juggalos in the chat. Not juggalos. Yeah, that's the Insane Clown Posse, right? Juggalettes. What's up, Bunny? Alright. Google Docs. Let's read this outro, shall we? And we will get you guys on your way, and me, into a deep, deep slumber. Justin Ballas with the tooths for your gummy ball or whatever. I'm gonna buy so many gumballs with that, bro. I'm gonna feed the whole town. What's up, Alex? Thug. Wonder if they make gumballs that get you intoxicated with alcohol. Whoa, mercenary. Are you now just getting here? What the flip? How am I? I'm doing good. Just finishing up here. You're getting sick? Damn. Zam. You're gonna have to look up what you need to take ASAP. Garlic, oregano oil, zinc, maybe magnesium. I don't know. What else should she take? Pre-workout gummy, that'd be great. Tribble, thank you. Yeah, you guys got to think of something funny for me to say real quick before you go. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday and Thursday at 9 p.m. EST, and there are super fun live streams every Sunday and Wednesday night. If you got a story, be sure to submit them over at my email, letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks for members of the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories and big compilations located anywhere you listen to podcasts. All links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, do an RFK impression. What would I say as RFK?
You're not gonna believe. You're actually not gonna believe all of the stuff that we had seen. It's up here a little bit. Broski, have a great night, Broski.
Alright, we gotta hear his voice one more time. Oh, there you go, Kakashi. Kakashi. Thank you for the 2. Good night. RF. I can't write. RFK Jr. Impression? Doesn't he have a disease? Yeah, he has diabetes. Let's see. Best of RFK. Some people's... Oh wait, this guy's really funny. Okay. Listen to this too. This guy's hilarious.
Okay, after spending 1 week with Donald Trump.
Mr. President, please, I need you to stop eating the McDonald's. It's super unhealthy.
Here's my impression of...
Mr. President, I need you to stop eating all the McDonald's.
Yeah, something like that maybe.
All right, I'm heading to bed. It does sound like an alien.
Thanks so much, friends. And remember...
I guess I do kind of sound like an alien.
Yeah. That's not very good. Whatever. It's really mean. Yeah, but being mean is funny, you know? Can I be the first one to say it? Being mean is fucking funny. And I think more people should be mean. Not like too mean, but just mean enough that you get a laugh, you know? Yeah. There you go. And Jen, welcome, my friend. All right. Bye, guys. Love you.